So are you saying other really bad stuff happened, or were you just prepared if it did?
No, other really bad stuff happened. When I got to
Let's go.
basically there were like 5 fires going, one of which by like Swaddle River like popped up overnight. Like that was like on my second day. It was basically like waking up in a burning building. You know, the idea of like the record and stuff, that was like one of like 2 times it went out the window, and it was just more of like,
survive.
Don't die out here. Yeah.
Welcome to Backpacker Radio, presented by The Trek, brought to you by Topo Athletic. I'm your co-host, Zach Badger Davis. Sitting to my right is...
Hi, I'm Juliana Chaunce, a.k.a. Chaunce.
Few reminders. Patreon. If you guys like us, this show, and you want to support us and get all of these episodes advertisement free, head on over to patreon.com/backpackerradio. You can get in the mix for as little as $5 per month. What is even $5 per month anymore? Nothing.
Not much, but it's a great way to support your pals who you love so dearly, and you've spent worse things for $5 a month. Think about your last $5 purchase and ask, did I love that? If not, maybe put it towards Patreon.
You can't even get through the McDonald's drive-thru for under $5. Not even close.
My Starbucks was like $8 the other day.
I get a medium with a grande coffee from Starbucks, and it's definitely over the $5.
Yeah.
Although the nitro cold brew is worth it.
The more inflation inflates, the more of a deal this starts to look like.
We're getting cheaper by the day, basically. Yeah. So that's not quite the incentive to get in now, but that's why deflation is not a good thing for an economic. Anyway, the next thing is, if you're heading to PCT Trail Days, hit us up. We're going. Still need to fill out our interviews for that. If you know someone who's going who would be an interesting guest for the podcast, please submit them through the link in the profile, the suggest a guest form. Anything to add to that?
I get married less than a week after, so I'm a psychopath for going, and I don't regret it. I will be there.
Would that make you more sober or more drunk?
We said it was going to be my domestic bachelorette, and you're planning it. So that's really up to you. What
right.
do you want to plan for my PCT Days bachelorette?
It'll just be penis straws everywhere. The entire Airbnb will be decorated in penis-themed everything.
Perfect. Yeah. So yeah, if you want to come to PCT Days and come see us, wish me a happy domestic bachelorette and give Zach praise or shame for how he's planned it. We will be there celebrating.
Yeah. And you can enter the Backpacker Radio makeshift studio with some penis-shaped something.
Oh, maybe.
Not your penis, though. We
maybe
don't
one
include
of our...
penis. It can't be a real penis. I want to emphasize.
I do not want your penis.
Penis-shaped non-penises.
I will take penis-shaped non-penises. I do not want penis-shaped penises.
Yeah.
I don't want non-penis-shaped penises either.
Regardless of the shape of your penis.
I don't want it.
Don't bring your penis.
I don't want it.
But if you've got stuff that's shaped like a penis.
That's not a penis.
I
want it.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'll toss like a bouquet or something. We'll see who's all the little trail romances can stand there and reach out. And
it'll just be Jess standing there.
Yeah.
Waiting to catch the penis-shaped bouquet.
Or someone who's been like hooking up for 500 miles and their partner just gets like shocked.
Yeah. I was at my brother-in-law's wedding, and the bouquet got thrown. It went right in front of me. This is when Jen and I first started dating. Couldn't have been together longer than 6 months, and I backed away from it. And literally everyone in her family was aghast. They were so, what's the word? Wanting to kill me. But yeah. Fast forward a little bit, we did the trick. Got a bunch of kids. They're squirting diarrhea. Last but not least, if you're taking on a long distance trek. I know we're deep into the season at this point, but could be a shorter thru hike, long trail, or you're going southbound, hit us up. Apply to be a trek blogger through the link in the show notes. That part is implied. Okay, no more beating around the bush. Let's get right to today's interview with JonathanThomas, a.k.a. Janis Joplin. Do you ever get any JTT references?
I do, yes. My whole life since kindergarten.
Yeah, the timing is
your middle name, Taylor.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it?
It is Patrick.
A.k.a. Janis Joplin holds the self-supported fastest known times on both the Washington and Oregon sections of the PCT. He also runs a gear company called Exotic Pax, where he hand makes thru-hiking backpacks in Chama, New Mexico, along the CDT. Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us here on Backpacker Radio.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
First and foremost, very nice mid-layer.
Thank you.
Do you want to give a shout out to it?
Yeah, Tumbleweed, my friend and business partner. He makes these alongside me in Chama, New Mexico. He started making sweaters, so he makes alpha and grid fleece. This is what I'm wearing is the alpha and grid fleece combo. And yeah, tumbleonoutfitters.com, or come see us in Chama when you're walking through.
So you're from New Orleans. We got to talking a little bit before we hit the record button here. You're from New Orleans. What's it like growing up in New Orleans?
Flat and hot and like humid hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very stark sort of like place that I landed from New Orleans, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, like, it's gotten me in trouble. My first time skiing in Colorado is Mardi Gras Day, and I'm walking around with a flask of tequila, and cops walk up to me, and I'm just like, oh, I'm sorry, it's Mardi Gras, and I've never been here before. This is what we do. So, but yeah, it's sometimes it's too much. I mean, I've gone back and forth from New Orleans. Last time I lived there, I worked for the news after the CDT as a camera person, and I usually refer to New Orleans as ice cream. You just can't eat it every day. So, but no, it's a great place like nowhere else on earth.
Yeah.
And fun to go. 72 hours, probably all you need.
Yeah. I've never been.
Oh.
So when I finally make it happen, I'm coming to you for all the recommendations. But somebody listening to this, if you could draft up the perfect day in New Orleans, what would you recommend?
Stop saying New Orleans.
New Orleans.
If you're gonna get on me about Moab, you gotta at least say your words right.
How do you say it?
I say New Orleans, but
New Orleans.
Yeah.
It's
some people say New Orleans.
Not Eanes.
Okay.
I'm a word expert.
Yeah, obviously.
Perfect day. I mean, the French Quarter is really cool. There's obviously like some really touristy things to like do, and everybody always goes to Bourbon Street, but I would like recommend maybe 2 or 3 places on Bourbon Street if you're going to go. Aaron Rose has frozen Irish coffee that's really good. My dad used to bartend at a famous bar called Pat O'Brien's, which is worth the stop. It's the Hurricane, home of the Hurricane. But you can access all of those bars from cross streets. You don't actually have to walk down Bourbon Street to get to them. The Royal Street, 1 block over, is really great. There's a lot of musicians busking outside of art galleries, and just completely different vibe from the block over on Bourbon Street. But yeah, walking around the French Quarter is like something really fun, especially if you're into people watching. It's really good. And then City Park, the Bayou, Po' Boys, go get a po' boy.
Is there like one spot that's the go-to?
Dom Elise's is uptown. That one's really cool. People have been like walking through this restaurant for so long that like their footprints are worn through the tile. And then Parkway Bakery on Bayou St. John in Mid-City, super famous, little po' boy stop. But yeah, and then if you're looking for like all night food, Verde Mart that's the end of Bourbon Street, or Royal is on Royal. They make a famous po' boy called All That Jazz, and it's basically like shrimp, meat, like everything, like all in one, and they're a 24-hour sandwich shop, so you can get that at any time.
Yeah. Have you had Cajun food that can hold a candle to New Orleans Cajun food outside of New Orleans?
Outside?
Yeah.
No. It's like one of those things where, like, yeah, if I'm, I lived in California, like, and like one of the people that I was living with was cooking seafood, and I'm just like, I'm not gonna eat the seafood. Like, I'm just gonna like wait till you're in the right spot for it.
Yeah.
But, there's no place like home when it comes to the food.
Totally.
Maybe that's where we go for our next mini trip.
So that begs the question: how is the hiking in
Not
Louisiana?
good. Yeah, I remember my aunt asked me one time after I got into thru hiking, and she was like, "Where can I go hike?" I was like, "Yeah, you want to go to the airport, fly to Denver." But yeah, it's not. I mean, I grew up running there.
Yeah.
And spent like most of my adult life like running competitively through college and stuff, and I mean, I ran the same circle around the lakes in Baton Rouge for 9 years, and like it's just like I didn't know what I was missing, I guess. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend, if you're like an outdoors person. They call it sportsman's paradise, but there's sorry, New Orleans and Louisiana, but there's some beautiful stuff, especially out west or on the East Coast, just kind of like anywhere except for New Orleans.
Yeah.
Right. It's beautiful. It's got its charm, but I'm not the best hiking.
So maybe if there's people living there that are good guests to interview, we won't be tempted by the hiking because there isn't any, so we could just use all of our free time to eat.
Yeah, because all the hiking we did in Austin, Texas,
Exactly.
obviously we make our
Not a
trips.
requirement.
Yeah. before I move on from the New Orleans thing, I assume you're pretty well acclimated to heat.
Yeah. So I ran at LSU in college, and so I did track and cross country there. For like the 25 years, like leading up to my time there, they practice at 1:30 every day, which is insane. But it was like 2 years after I quit or finished at LSU. They started practicing at like 6:30 in the evening. I was like, why didn't y'all think that was a good idea? But I wouldn't say it like, like people do altitude training and stuff, and there's obvious like physiological advantages to that. I don't think that there's any like sort of similar advantage to like humidity training. I don't know. I guess like for the actual heat and stuff, but like I didn't like gain anything by like just like sweating it out, I feel like.
Yeah. Did you have to be extra conscious of your hydration status? Because if you're sweating nonstop, and I imagine it's like 80% humidity in the summer.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I guess like the desert is still hard for me and stuff, but I've never like, I guess, maybe I just, growing up sweating outside, like I've never like, I'm fully hydrated, I would say. Like, I don't know, but, yeah.
Well, the beer will help.
Yeah.
Were you there for Katrina?
That was my freshman year at LSU. So that was pretty interesting. I was going to run at Tulane. Made the decision to walk on to LSU instead. And then, Katrina hit like my first week of college. And so they turned the track at LSU into a helicopter pad. The PMAC was a little temporary hospital. And then, Tulane, when they did come back to school, like they scrubbed like every single sports program. So, like, in hindsight, I was like, probably would have been weird if I would have gone to school in New Orleans. But, that was my freshman year.
Wow.
And I had Rita right after that. I remember Rita was, like, weeks after Katrina. And our coach, like, sent us to do, like, a fartlek, like, in the middle of the storm.
What?
It's like, fartlek is, like, a, running workout term for, like, it's, like, varied pace. So you're basically running, you have like on and off time. So like you'll run like, you're running and the off times might be like 4 minutes off, or you're just running like conversation pace and then 3 minutes on. And then you'll have like a sequence of like you're off and on. So you'll go like several minutes off, 7 minutes on. But it's really weird name for that fartlek.
Is that an LSU specific thing, or if I talk to any running team, they know what fartleks are?
Any running team knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I
that's
hope
funny.
you're lying to him and that you did that.
I also want to bring back, you mentioned that you worked for the news as a cameraman.
Yeah, so like as far as like trail goes, right? Like my first hike was in 19, and then I did the CDT in 21, and always hard like transitioning back into regular life after a trail. But I was lucky. I had a friend. I like stopped back in New Orleans like after being gone for 6 months, and he had just started working at Fox 8 in New Orleans. He worked there like 25 years ago, but he knew me and my experience with cameras and stuff, and he was just like, I got a job for you. So I was actually in Denver and had the interview with the news director here and on the phone, and like before I even got home from the CDT, I had a job.
Wow.
And it was a cool experience, very different sort of. I mean, I think my first year there in 22, we were like the highest homicide rate per capita in the country, and it was just like a different kind of side to, I guess, like life, and seeing stuff through that lens, I guess, was a little bit of an adjustment, but all in all, a great experience, and learned a lot. And
so you're filming on scene or in studio or both?
Both. Like, and they actually automated the cameras like shortly after I got there. But I started out like having to like truck the cameras in the newsroom or in like the studio, and they put me on sound one day, which was like so scary. Like I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing, and like you have like all the like the anchors and stuff, like they all, and the sports people, the weather, all have like their own microphone. So I had to like turn them on and bring them up and turn them off, and like, and if you didn't turn somebody off, then they're still talking. They're like talking on a live mic, and it was like, doing the sound. That was like probably one of the most stressful things I ever did for the news. I was like, please don't make me do this. But typically my day was like, I'd come in, I've worked like morning, evening. I did the evening shift for a while, and then ended like on daytime, and all of it was really fun, a little bit different hours and stuff, but regardless, you come in, they assign you a reporter for the day and then your story. And so I'll go out with them and we'll go get all the sound and stuff for the story, and I'll film everything I need. And basically, like, by like whatever that slot is, like if it's like I come in at like 2 o'clock or something, or noon for like the evening shift, and that story's going to be on the air by like 9 or 10 that night. So I would film all of it, edit it, and have it not be late for the news, like whenever, but it's all like same day editing and stuff. So it was really fun. And in the midst of that, though, like I would have to respond to like anything else that happened, good or bad. Like if there was like breaking news or something, I would still be responsible for my story to be on air at 9, but I would have to maybe like, go to a homicide and do a live shot for like the daytime news if there was some breaking news or something like that.
What channel were you working for?
Channel 8, WVUE. It's part of Gray Media, which is like Hearst and Gray, like two. It's like McDonald's and Burger King.
Yeah. What's the most interesting scene that you ever shot from?
Ooh, good question.
Interesting. Gosh. I'm trying to think of like some really fun ones I've done. I don't know. We did like, there wasn't a hurricane or a tornado in New Orleans since like Hurricane Andrew in the 90s, like 91 or something. And there were 3 when I worked there, like in the first year. One of them went down the same street like 8 months apart, like in Algiers, and so it was always like that. I guess that was interesting. But I've done like, I don't know, I've done like some crazy stories. One of the first ones I did was like this dude's Barbie collection was like one of the biggest Barbie collections.
What was his name? Alan?
Oh God, I won't remember his name, but yeah, the dude had so many Barbies.
The dude that used to buff our kitchen floors when I was younger. I just remember he used to collect Barbies. So like there were occasions where like my mom would get him like one of the Barbies that came out, and he would never open them. He just had all of the prepackaged Barbies. I don't know whatever happened to Alan, but could have been him.
Yeah,
could have been. None of his were open either. He had a very huge collection.
Yeah,
he had everything.
That is interesting.
But I definitely did some cool stuff. I really liked. I think one of my favorite stories I did was like a shrimp story, just about like shrimpers in southern Louisiana. Basically, like you go to Louisiana for the seafood, but they've been importing a lot of shrimp from Indonesia, and so it's just like a story about shrimpers basically kind of losing their livelihood. It's like basically the coast is disappearing there anyway, and most people having kids nowadays who like grow up like in the bayou, like your kids like go off to like LSU or something, and they don't probably want to go like shrimping for the rest of their life after college. So it's already like a disappearing industry that's being like forced out by importation of shrimp from places like Indonesia and stuff.
Are there less shrimp here, or is it just easier to get shrimp there?
I think it's just easier. And then now, like, it's just like, and it's forcing, like, it's like messing up like the prices for like local shrimp, and then plus like the cost of diesel and everything. It's just like not even worth it for these people who are like the last of their kind. I mean, to keep doing it, it's like basically like local government. It's like not incentivizing people to continue these traditions.
So if you're getting shrimp in New Orleans, there's a good chance that it's coming from Indonesia?
There's a decent one they're supposed to tell you.
Okay.
So, yeah, you should, or you could always ask.
Yeah.
But you are supporting some real locals if you are buying Louisiana seafood.
Yeah. Is there any fun cultural elements of the news industry? Like, are you guys a tight-knit group going out and getting drinks after your shift, or is it just like a normal job?
I mean, like, I definitely feel really close to, like, the people that I work with. Like, I think of like some of the reporters I work with, and they're like really close. Like it's kind of like family. Yeah, I would say it's pretty tight knit. Like even like reporters and everybody. It was such a great team working for the news there. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, we like I mean honestly like we did some sad stuff sometimes together, and so it was just things that yeah, I'll never forget. And you having to, it's hard like having some conversations with people and they think you're just trying to make for good TV or something. And it's like, we're all people, and it's really hard kind of, just having to like be there and report it, and it doesn't really affect you, but you can feel what like some of the people in the stories are like dealing with.
Yeah. Is there any aspect of that profession that you've carried over into what you're currently doing?
Oh, you're saying like
just I guess in the media side of things.
Yeah, I mean, like I was just kind of like freelancing with cameras before the news too, but and then like I've made like a couple videos for some of my ridiculous hikes I've done. So I do that, and then like I've been getting into kind of filming more of like the backpacking process and stuff like that. But yeah, it's much more lower key, like just doing my stuff. It's so nice, like not having like these hard deadlines, and it's like it's more fun. I mean, like, yeah, for sure, I think it has crossed over. Like just like what I took away from that was like storytelling, basically, and like how you tell a story. So that was really good. And then for sure, without a doubt, like editing techniques and stuff. Like it's just like all the things that like you think and do and stuff, but like having to like kind of regurgitate that in like a creative way within like a 8-hour workday, like definitely has helped me. Just like even having more time for whatever projects, like sort of media project that I work on.
I want to get to the hiking stuff.
Yeah.
Your background's really interesting,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna have to keep going. LSU, what events are you running?
Everything from the mile to the 10K.
Okay.
Yeah, just
So what was your fastest mile?
420.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that was a fun day. That was actually in New Orleans, like a mile, like straight down, from what was that? They called it Robert E. Lee. It was like down at Legion Fields. There was this 1 mile point to point, and two guys. One of them went to the same high school as me, but they beat me. But Vincent Rono was like the former NCAA champion. And again, like, dude wasn't in shape or anything, but and I was probably in decent shape to run 420 that day, but I beat Vincent Rono in like that mile or whatever. And then like my buddy was just like, do you know who that is? I was like, oh, cool. It was like, he's out of shape. So it was just like any day, I guess, like he probably ran like, I don't know, 350 something in the mile, like on his good day, but that was my good day.
Yeah. How many people have broken the 4-minute mile now?
Oh, it's got to be so many.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw this kid who just got signed from Nike, like 15, running like sub 4.
Jesus.
Like,
That's very fast.
Yeah.
crazy. But yeah, I never broke 4. I was really into cross country. I think in high school I was the composite state champion in 2004 for Louisiana. And
what is the composite state champion?
it's like all classes, like from 1A to 5A.
Okay.
Everyone who makes it on the composite?
So basically, like, you could win 1A or you can win 5A. We were 5A, but basically, like, out of all classes or whatever.
Oh, so the overall state champ. Yeah, fuck yeah.
And, yeah, when I got to college, I, like, kind of fell out of love. Sort of, I was, like, very much, like, going through the motions with running. And then, I started working at a bike shop. I still ran, and, like, I just, like, I would, like, I didn't feel like I, like, connected really deeply, I think, with my high school coach. And maybe for personal life reasons, too, like, just kind of didn't feel the same, like, and just, plus college, you're doing other stuff.
I've heard LSU is a fun school.
It is a very fun school, and fun was had.
Yeah.
I live with swimmers that I'm still very close to, and I had a great time. But like, as far as like the running and stuff, I didn't like improve any of my times. I honestly so I worked at a bike shop, got into cycling, in the midst of everything, and then I was like in a car accident, got hit by a car head on my bike, and then I got back into running. And got
How nasty was the collision?
I was really lucky. I mean, it was nasty in the sense of like, if it was a truck, I wouldn't be sitting here.
Wow.
It was a Saturn Ion, so it's like that super low angle front, and it was like my friend was in front of me, I was in the middle, and then somebody was behind me, and we were going down Perkins Road in Baton Rouge and like getting into the turning lane to make a left. It's like a 2 lanes each way with a turning lane in the middle, 45. mile-an-hour zone. Everyone goes 55. So cars come in the opposite way. We get in the turn lane to make a left. He gets in the turn lane to make a left, but missed the first person. I mean, I had like neon green shirt, white bike, lights front and back. All of us did, and missed my friend Andy. Like, entered the turning lane. Just, I mean, once it was happening, I was just like, this is it. I was clipped in. I had my Cervelo S2, very nice road bike, and yeah, immediately came unclipped. I mean, like, I had my helmet on, like, scraped the windshield, did like a full laid out front flip, like, over this car, and landed like 20 feet behind it on like a bag of clothes.
On the bag, there just happened to be a bag of clothes.
So we had a shower at work, and I would just like wear my cycling stuff to work, take a shower, put on my regular clothes, work all day, ride home, and so I just pretty much just had clothes in my backpack.
Wow.
And like as soon as I hit the ground, I was like, "Oh shit! I'm okay." Like I watched my whole life like pass in front of my eyes in that moment, and I'm just like, "This is like there's no time to hit the brakes. There's nothing."
Yeah.
And I was lucky, and then somebody was hit like a quarter mile from there, like the week after, and one was paralyzed and one was killed.
Holy shit.
It was just like all sad endings. I made some great friends in like the cycling world, I guess, in Baton Rouge, like growing up riding bikes around there, and but they all kind of just like ended sadly somehow, you know. Everybody, like, it wasn't like some of these bad stories led to like some great change in the community and the infrastructure. It was just like you just needed to either quit riding bikes or like go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Are drivers just really bad in New Orleans?
New Orleans, actually, I would like rather ride around New Orleans than Baton Rouge.
Oh, is that where you were?
That's where I was.
Are the drivers really bad there?
They're bad, yeah. Yeah, somebody was saying, I remember, because we would like, I worked at the bike shop, and we would sell bikes, and this guy had his kid, and we would let him like test ride bikes in the parking lot. And he like grabs his daughter. He was like, "Be careful, honey. Do you see that tag?" It was like the LSU student like parking tag. Yeah, that means they can't drive. But yeah, they're just like watching like these multi-million-dollar sort of like roadway projects, and you can't even like add a bike lane, you know. So it was just like.
So a combination of bad drivers and just not the infrastructure for bikes.
Yeah. So it was like, I don't know. My friend told me he went on to work for Trek, but I definitely like took his words to heart, and he was just like, "Don't be a martyr," like, you know.
Yeah.
And I got back into running. I started training for my first marathon.
You mentioned that you lived with swimmers. Without talking about either sport of running or swimming, what are the personality differences of the swimmers in the house versus the runners?
Oh God, they were like kind of close, but I guess like the swimmers were. They're definitely intense personalities. They're definitely like some of the craziest sort of people that I've met. Like, and then I think it's more intense than runners, honestly. I mean, we all like had fun together, but they wake up at like 5 a.m. and like be in a cold pool. Like,
yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, and then like they'd be up, like they all like drank a lot more, like. We had some Estonians and some Germans and stuff, and we took them to Mardi Gras for their first time, and it was fun. But there was really like no other sports team I felt like the swimmers.
Interesting.
You mentioned you walked on to the track team at LSU.
Yes.
If you won the composite state champ, why do they not do scholarships for?
So, and it's funny because like Mark Elliott was my coach. He's at Clemson now. He went from one Tiger to another, but he has like all the like distance records probably still like at LSU from like the mile to the 10K, and then a lot of Jamaican national records too. So, you know, sub 4 minute miler when he ran at LSU, and then spent 25 years coaching there. He's from Jamaica, and so he helped LSU recruit the Caribbean for sprinters. Like I was there when Richard Thompson won the silver medal to Usain Bolt in 2008. And he was a senior at LSU, but he was from Trinidad, recruited by my distance coach. But yeah, basically, like sprinters are gonna get more points. Like if you're doing like all the relays, and maybe you're a jumper as well. So definitely much more of a focus. You have like other like big SEC schools that, I mean, like the SEC in most schools, like you have like an allocation of scholarship dollars, and like a place like Arkansas, you would have like Tyson Chicken and Walmart there too, so they would be matching dollars. So you see much more competitive distance squads. I mean, most of them are, like, a lot of people like coming from East Africa. I mean, like to be like on Arkansas and stuff. I remember Michael Hendry, he ran with me, but he was like one of the very few Americans on the Arkansas squad. He ended up transferring back to LSU, but without having like sort of those private dollars to like match SEC dollars, and if you just had like the pool of money that you're getting for this sport from the conference, you're going to spend it on sprinters. They just more points.
Yeah.
They could maybe play football.
Is it because it's a sexier event, or because there's more sprinting events?
More sprinting events.
Got it. So it translates to more.
You could do the 100, the 200, the 400,
Yeah.
the 4x1, the 4x2, the 4x4.
Got it.
Maybe your long jump and triple jump.
Yeah.
More reason to keep the shrimping tripping.
Yeah.
That's right. Cool. Well, let's talk about hiking. So at what point does hiking fall onto your radar?
Yeah. So like when I got into, like, I'm backtracking, come real quick back to hiking, but marathon stuff. I ran my first marathon. I ran 2:35 at Rock and Roll New Orleans. I thought somebody was like running the full marathon. He was running the half, and it was somebody I knew. I ended up like finishing third place in the marathon. And then I did Boston the year of the bombings in 2013.
You were in that race?
I was 89th overall, 79th male, 2.5 hour marathon.
Did you hear it? Did you
I was,
run
like,
past it?
In Clary's in a bar down the street. I ran past like the set bomb, and along with like everybody else in the race. But we had some people in our group who were like pretty close to it, and like, yeah, kind of like in between the blasts and stuff. And yeah, crazy day. Like, made you like kind of like think differently about, like, I mean, I remember I was hurt, and like I just had put so much into that race, I guess, and like you just like realize like what I was like worried about, like my time and stuff, and then all this stuff happened. So it was a crazy experience. I went back the next year and ran and didn't do well, and then I did Chicago, and I ended up getting hurt. I was like running 100 miles a week at this point in my life, like pretty quick. My teammate, we were second in Boston that year, the bombs, like in the team competition. Our first place finisher on our team was 17th. Adam McDowell ran 2:17. So it was like 5-10 mile pace for a marathon. Yeah, and I was like chasing him. I ended up getting hurt, damaging some cartilage in my knee. It was really hard for me to like kind of like
during the race.
No, this is like after I dropped out of Chicago in like 2014. And after that, like, it was like I kept trying to run. I tried going back to the bike. I couldn't do any of it. I started working for Urbea, the bike brand in Arkansas, and got health insurance finally, and went and had surgery on my knee, had it scoped. But at that point, I was just like, I wanted to qualify for the Olympic trials in the marathon. That was my goal. I knew what it took to make it. I was never going to make the team, but just to like line up would have been cool. And my second marathon, I ran 2:30. I was like 2:25 pace for 18 miles.
That's crazy.
And I was hurt. But so that, like, yeah, you know, it was just like, at that point I kind of like fell back into love with running. And so it was hard to kind of like have that feeling back again, and then like realize like I might never be a runner again. And so it was like, I think all healthy, because it like got me to the point where I really appreciated like the times that I had running, and like kind of like let go of it. And I was like, cool, if I never ran again, I was happy with what I got to experience in the sport. And then I had a friend who had hiked half the AT, and we ran together in high school, and he invited me on, like, we did like a 3-day 55-mile loop around the Sisters, and my first time going to Oregon. And then, yeah, it just, you know, I had also, after that, I did another hike with another friend in California around Ray Lakes. And it's like, both of those were like the first experience of like seeing a thru-hiker with your eyes, and you're just like, holy shit, this person looks like he walked here from Mexico. And I think after that, my friend with the Ghost Town, California, I stayed at last winter, Cerro Gordo, I met him in his place in Austin. He has a hostel in Austin. And this is like what really got me into it. He had a Pacific Crest Trail shirt on. I was staying there for the week working. And at that point, now I knew about like the PCT and stuff, but I always thought like those water carriers are crazy. I'm never gonna do that. Like, and then I got to like talk to a real life hiker. He had the PCT shirt on, and he kind of like, you could tell like the smile on his face just lighting up, talking about the experience. I'm just like, he explained how resupplies work and how, you know, not scary it is with water caches and stuff along the way, and like, and you could just see that he had the best time of his life. So I was like, cool, next time that my life lines up, I'm gonna do that. And that was like in like March or April or something of like 2019 when I met him, and my lease was ending in May in New Orleans, and I was going to LA to go help a friend with a video. And yeah, I ended up like, I was like, didn't have much going on. I sold my Camry for like $300. And
Hey, the Camry. Great car.
Called it the Cambo.
$300, there must have been a number of miles on it.
Yeah, I bought it for $300 too.
All right, it's a good deal.
Yeah, it was like cheaper than Ubers, right? But yeah, and then so I started the PCT May 23rd, 2019. Of that year, like pretty much like 2 months after I like met that dude. And I mean, like, my birthday is coming up this week.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. And so
Zach will spin the wheel as a birthday present to you.
hell yeah.
We'll both spin the wheel as a birthday present to you.
We'll see.
And so like, if my birthday is May 3rd and I started May 23rd on my birthday that year, I did not even have a permit, didn't even know I was hiking the PCT at that point. And ended up, starting on May 23rd, and had the best time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How does it compare to running?
Oh, I felt like kind of lied to. You know, like, I spent so long running around that circle in Baton Rouge, like around the lakes, and I was just like, dude, this is insane that this exists. I mean, it was like, as far as like running train too, I'm just like, this is beautiful. Like, but compared to running, I don't know. I mean, obviously, like, Boston was like a big deal, like doing and all the stuff that I went through that day and stuff. But yeah, my feeling like when I crossed the bridge in Washington in 2020, at the end of my first FKT, I was like, that was like the biggest athletic achievement of my life.
Wow.
There's no one around.
Yeah, bringing it back again. I keep jumping timelines. I apologize, but is there any sort of trauma associated with first the bike incident, Katrina, I'm sure to some extent, and then obviously the Boston Marathon? Yeah,
I mean, I still get on my bike. I love cycling. I love the people that I met in the community and stuff. Like, but yeah, like when I'm on my bike now, I just like, you'll never be the same after you get hit by a car. Yeah, like your head's on a swivel, you know. And I've still had close calls and stuff, but still try to like get out and like enjoy myself and stuff. But yeah, and then as far as the other stuff, for sure, like Boston's still like, I mean, that I think kind of changed my perspective on just life in general and stuff. And that doesn't really go away. Yeah.
Does it make it harder to want to do a big marathon? Like you said, you did Chicago after that.
It made it really weird. So I actually, after Boston that year, I went back to New Orleans and I participated as like the running relay at the half Ironman in New Orleans. And it was so weird to me. Like all of a sudden you think of security differently. I mean, you think of like Boston, and just like, this is a 26-mile race course with 1 million people spread across it. I mean, honestly, you could have done it by Wellesley College or anywhere else in a crowd with the same density with less cameras. And how do you ever really secure that? Yeah. And I do think that like there's like some complacency that like kind of like seeps back in after like a period of time goes by after something like this, where it's just like, yeah, it's like it's never like fully secure, I guess. But yeah, I remember just being there at the half Ironman like the week after and just being like really freaked out about security and stuff. And I still think about all that stuff. Like, we were going to Jazz Fest this weekend, and whenever I go in there, I bring my backpack with like a 6-pack of beer. I put like a po' boy in there, and I like my own bottle of water and everything. And they're supposed to be going through your bags and everything. And it's like, go open it up, and it's like, oh, we don't have any time for that. Like, go in there and have fun, which is cool if you're like trying to sneak in stuff to have fun. Yeah. But it's also like security there for a reason. If you're like, oh, it's that easy to just walk into a place like this,
right?
I always think that because this came up, I can't remember if it was on or off air when we were in Austin. It came up was that I usually have like pepper spray with me, and I fly with it, and I keep it in my carry-on. And I've never once never once gotten stopped, and I've been doing this since like early 2010s.
Wow.
Flying with mace, and I'm like, you really probably should stop someone from having mace on an airplane.
Oh, for sure.
But I feel safer with it because then if someone does something, at least like I'd rather them kill me than wait for the plane to go down. I think that waiting period probably is very anxiety ridden. So like I love having the mace on me because I feel a little bit safer there. But then I also think like, damn, you're letting someone with mace on an airplane. That's freaky. Yeah, weird.
Yeah. No, it like doesn't really fully ever go away, I guess.
Do you think there's any part of you living in a place like Chama to get away from crowds, or is it just because you love the...
Yeah, I mean, I was held up. My mom was held up when she was pregnant for me. She has one arm and like was holding my baby brother and was held up at knife point in the French Quarter. Then they moved like to Lakeview and then the North Shore where I went to high school. And then I graduated from LSU and I moved back to New Orleans and I was driving for Uber and, turn around in my front yard and somebody's got a 45 in my face, like, and, go back and look at the crime map and there's people killed like a month before, like all around and stuff.
Oof.
And just like...
Your life's like Final Destination.
Yeah.
It was scary. I mean, between that and the bike and stuff, just like, oh, that's like, it was crazy. Like, so, yeah, I mean, same thing. It's just like and then plus like, yeah, the news was a great experience, but it was a lot of like stuff that I had to see and like just really sad stuff.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I think part of it was like, I mean, we don't have a stoplight in Chama. Like, it's like, it's nice, you know, like it's kind of like outlaw country, but like it's way safer. And like, I wouldn't run in New Orleans last time I was there. I wouldn't go out at night and do any of that stuff just because.
Do you think part of what drew you to long trails is also like the sense of calm out there?
Oh yeah, no, I mean like in the views and stuff, I had so many firsts on the PCT, like first time up a 14er and in all these national parks and stuff like that. And I don't know if it was just like, yeah, it's like so different than New Orleans, but I did like completely fall in love with like how calm it is and how beautiful it is. But
yeah, because I feel like doing an FKT of Washington or Oregon, like you're getting that big marathon kind of feeling a little bit. I don't know, I'm not someone who does either, but you're getting that like speed and rush and all that with just like calm surroundings.
It was, I mean, like the FKT stuff, I guess, is that was like, yeah, just like a different sort of like personal battle, I guess, of achievement. But yeah, just like hiking in general though, it's like it is so calm. I think like during the FKT stuff, sometimes like in my head and stuff, there's some very uncalm things going on with like, you're kind of like gauging all like the alarm bells in your body and stuff, and you're just like kind of like maintaining what's going on and checking like all these sort of like sensors, sort of making sure that everything's okay. So I feel sometimes like a little too on edge. This summer I hope to be much more of like a calm demeanor for at least the speed record sort of thing, but sometimes it hasn't felt like that, at least like in Washington and Oregon.
Yeah,
it's been like chaos management.
Okay, so first long trail experience, PCT 2019, and you're attempting an FKT?
I did attempt Oregon in the middle of it. Okay. Which was dumb.
Why?
Well, like, because I was like in the middle of a thru-hike, like, it was like, who does that? I mean, people do the Oregon Challenge and stuff, but I didn't know what an FKT was when I started the PCT in 19, and then I ran into a guy named Willy Wonka, or Alex Wright, like going into Hiker Town, and he was doing like 14 days to Walker Pass and getting ready to like go for the whole PCT. I'm just like, that is insane. And my first thought was like, I never want to do that. And then like, I don't know, getting closer to Oregon and stuff, I guess there was like a few things that happened. I did like my first big day because we thought we were going to miss the mail in Belden and not get shoes and have to wait several days. So me and my buddy Sticks did a 48-mile day into Belden. That's actually when I met Tumbleweed. And then I got sick. I did like a 65 or 48 and then a 65 to catch my trail family.
Out of Belden?
Out of Dunsmuir. I had like, I think it was like mold from, I carried a Nalgene.
Yeah.
And like it had like this mold on it. And I think it was like, maybe it's Giardia. Like I had somebody on trail who had extra Giardia pills. They gave them to me in Costella, and that like helped clear everything out. But it was like 4 days behind my trail family, so I did like a 48 and then a 65 like into Etna.
Got it.
And then they were all stoked. They were just like, "Oh, I want to do a 50." And I was like, no, I didn't do that. So
A
we could
68.
do like another.
Yeah.
I did 65 like
65.
into Etna.
That's
Out of Belden would have been nuts though, because that climb out of Belden. Well, you went south. The climb out of Belden sucks.
Yeah. And then so after that, I like kind of like I was thinking more about like Oregon and stuff. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I went for it. But then like my first I was like 10 miles away from the border. Like went into Ashland, got my stuff together, went back in. Was still 10 miles from the start. Started way too late, so I had to walk 10 miles back before I could even start that day. And then made it like 40 miles. And within that, like I started getting sick again. And so I still had one of those Giardia pills, and you know you go into I-5 and Callahan's and stuff. So I'm just like, if I'm gonna take this pill right now, if it doesn't help, then I'm going to the doctor, like before I get to the interstate. And then so it worked out. But then I was like, I did a 40-mile day. I think the record then was like 56 a day. And then so that was old too. That was like 2013 when that was set, and that so the next day, like for me to like stay on track, I had to do like a crazy day. So I did like an 85 into Crater Lake, and I got there like 10 a.m. or something, like through the night. Really messed up like my circadian rhythm and everything, and it was just like one of those things. Like it was such a learning experience for like afterwards, like Washington, like going right and stuff, just like figuring out what to absolutely not do. And I can do the no sleep thing, but I realized like you can't do it on the second night because like you need like 9 whole hours to like reset like your circadian rhythm.
sort of like the negative split mentality, like save it for the end.
Exactly.
Yeah. Walk me through the differences between being elite at the different distances, because like you grew up doing a mile and the 10K, which is very different than doing like 80 miles backpacking. Obviously very fast in a marathon too. I guess just walk me through like, I guess your subjective perception of the physical difficulties of each one of those distances.
For like 10K and like
I guess you can do short stuff.
Yeah,
if you want to call marathon medium stuff, and then compare that to like a thru-hike
I mean,
style.
it's like the shorter you go, it's like the matter of seconds, right? And I think like training with Adam was like really cool when I did like that was my second marathon. It was his first time in Boston too, but he ran the Olympic trials. He ran 2:15 in the marathon, so it was kind of cool like getting. And it was just 3 of us who trained together, so. That I think experience definitely like made me realize like you could sit there and train and want something your whole life, but if you don't do these particular workouts and you aren't hitting these times, you're never going to make it. And it was like a very like simple sort of recipe that I found, at least like for the marathon, of like this is how you know like make the Olympic trials, and you are like the most competitive. Like those people are doing the same thing, and you have to be like just like in that sort of like benchmark for like some of these paces and stuff.
Is that more fartleks, or what are you doing?
I mean, like we did some stuff like that. I mean, like some of our marathon stuff, and I think it's like the same. I mean, that his coach was doing. Ben Rosario did like Northern Arizona Elite. I mean, they like in Flagstaff, and that's when Hoka like just started. They moved from Adidas to Hoka, and that's when Hoka really started like getting big. I feel like, but. You know, like he had so many people in that program. We were doing the same workouts that those people were doing. They like debuted at like 2:08 in the marathon, or women debuting at like 2:25 and stuff. And it just like made me realize like there's just like one way to do this, and like you can try to like read all these books and stuff, but you have to just do this, and that's like the way to be competitive, at least at that sport. And then like as you go down, it's just like a matter of seconds, right? Like I would call myself maybe semi-pro at one point on my like road racing career and stuff, like, but like, and I think like training with Adam for the marathon was helpful because it like made me realize like this mentality of like there is like this is like the actual way you have to just hit this, and kind of like tear out all the stuff in your brain like telling you to stop or whatever, and like you can like kind of surpass like maybe your ability and stuff. But I think like a big part of it, I think, is just like physiologically being like sort of like predetermined to be able to do that stuff. And then the other is, so yeah, nature and nurture. And then like going out there and like being like, yeah, it's hard. It's like, no, it's got to be like a lot harder, and you got to be okay with like the pain and doing like what it takes to, yeah, be at that like elite level, I guess.
So what you're learning from Adam is how to suffer more and be okay with it?
Yeah, basically like, yeah, this does suck, but like this is the only way to run these times. And it led to me like being faster. Like I felt like in that segment leading up to Boston, I was in the best shape of my life. Or like we would do workout wise, like 5 times 2 miles with like a half-mile rest. 2 times 6 miles was a fun one with like a 2-mile rest. 3 times 3 miles, 10 times a mile. We did like a 13.
So what, the 10 times a mile, what is that? You're doing 10 different mile sprints?
Yeah, so you do like a mile, you do like a quarter mile jog, and then you do a mile. So your rest is, yeah.
I want to puke thinking about this.
But like, yeah, Adam, I mean, like we did like the half marathon. That was my only half marathon I think I've ever run. I ran 1:10 in my first half, and I beat Kara Goucher in like the half marathon, and Shalane Flanagan and Meseret Defar was right in front of me. She set an American soil record for the half that day. But like I just remember Adam, like they have like, you can qualify for the marathon and for the Olympic trials with your half time, but you have to run like 64 minutes or something, which is insanely fast. It's like sub 5 pace. Jeez. And he was coaching at that point for Catholic High School, or no, Central High, for indoor tracks, and they had a meet that day. So he couldn't come. Like it was very easy for us because like Mo Farah and Alberto Salazar, his coach, like showed up for the half in New Orleans that day. And so it was so cool, like being like starstruck and having like, you know, pacing myself off of a lady who's breaking the American soil record. But I had so much respect for Adam because we had like this 2-mile figure 8 with reflectors, so we could see it in the dark, like when we were doing this little hot laps on this little 2-mile course, like at night. And he just did his half because it was our prescription for that day was a half marathon, basically at marathon pace. And so he went out and he ran 65 minutes in the half that night after he coached that day with nobody around, like in the dark in some neighborhood with the only hill in Baton Rouge. And yeah, I think like all that stuff like helped me, I think, with the mentality that's like so important for any of those distances to be competitive, is to know like that like it doesn't matter who's watching, and like basically the race is already won in the dark, in the cold rain, with nobody around before you get to do it with a crowd.
Being so formally trained in the art of road running, what would be the differences that you'd say you need to go through when training or mentally prepping for something like an FKT of a trail, where you're trail running and you're doing, you know, it's not on pavement, it's on trail, and it's ups and downs. What's the difference in mindset you usually need?
Well, FKT has just been so different. I mean, like the marathon and like any road race is like very, very like sort of like a controlled environment. And I think like, especially the stuff I've experienced on like, you know, like 450 to 500 mile FKTs, it's like there's things like you have to like kind of like train for the unexpected, I guess. Like what I learned was like you're not going to know what's going to happen, and but something's going to happen that's like completely, so it's not just like the physical sort of stuff, but it's just like preparing for like the unexpected stuff.
How do you train for that?
I think it's just like a mentality thing for sure. I mean, obviously there's like some physical training that I did that was like, for me, I felt specific. I would go on the Colorado Trail and try to do as many 50s as I could, and then try to do them back to back. And then being at elevation, that was like the physical training. But I remember Washington, like I was going back for Oregon, and I had all my stuff in Bend for like to go back for the Oregon FKT in 2020, and my friend and I went and climbed Mount Rainier. I was in Seattle, and we were coming down Rainier when the Lion's Head fire broke out. And so you could see it. And then as I'm seeing the smoke, somebody texted me, and it's like, hey, Oregon's closed. And I was just like, well, what the hell am I going to do now? I've got like everything ready to go, myself included. I was like, do I just go hike the AT or like go do the long trail or something? And then somebody suggested, like, well, why don't you go for Washington? And I had a terrible time. We finished October 10th in 2019 in Washington. It was 10 days of rain, 10 days of snow. And I like, if it wasn't for like this sarcastic sort of attitude I had about like, you know, life on the trail at that point, and then my friends and maybe a little bit of weed, like we weren't gonna make it.
Yeah.
I watched so many people quit like in a privy, like, but
Quit in a privy.
yeah, it was just like raining and just like 200 miles from the end, and then, like I watched these people just like shut down. It's like we're going in town, we're done.
Given the pace you're going at, I'm surprised you're finishing in October. Was there significant time off trail?
30 zeros.
30 zeros,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So you enjoyed yourself on the PCT?
Yeah, no, most of my like hiking days I did like 25 miles, but it's funny, like one gallon was who gave me my trail name. He was finishing his 4th Triple Crown, but it was just so funny, he's so efficient. But even like doing like the Oregon FKT attempt, I still couldn't catch, we call them the Bills. There was another Bill out there who had hiked the PCT a lot. And we were just like, we can't, like, they're impossible to catch, but we were bad at wasting time, I guess.
Given your fitness level, does 25 miles on the PCT feel boring to you?
No, I mean, like, and also, like, before, especially after the news and stuff and going back for Oregon finally in 23, I did not run while I was doing that. And then, like, I had to get in shape. And I felt like Oregon, I really crammed for the test. Like, I only had, like, a month in between, like, our store and stuff to, like, get ready for it. So I just went out from Coomer's Pass and did, like, my little CDT Colorado yo-yo. But the first days, like, 30 miles is terrible. Like, I like trying to do even 25. So I'm definitely, like, a normal person when it comes to, like, hurting like everybody else. I think it's just like
that feels maybe not totally accurate to me.
I think I hurt easier than you hurt.
Well, it takes me time to like build up to that, and then I can get to a point where I can push past and I can make it hurt more than probably, like, a lot of people.
Sure.
But yeah, so getting back to like kind of like training for the unexpected. So when I decided I was going to do Washington, I had to go to Bend. I had to drive through Lion's Head Fire and go get my stuff in Bend and then come back, and I cache stuff. So my furthest cache from Seattle was in Trout Lake. So I'm driving, and there was a historic wind event on September 6th that year. And we had somebody who passed away like hiking in Trout Lake from like a tree, colors our year. And I just remember like going out there, and I was in a Toro rental car from Seattle that I took, and it was my first time like doing that rental style, I guess. So like I needed that car back to Seattle at like 9 a.m. that day, and so I went and got my stuff in Bend, drove out to Trout Lake, and as I'm driving, it's like crazy wind, and it's looking out, and like trees coming down around me. And then, bam, there's one, like, in the road. And I'm, like, 2 miles away from the trail. So I, like, pull over, open the trunk. I still haven't packed everything. Now I need to pack a resupply for the last 80 miles of Washington. And I'm, like, watching trees, like, still, like, coming down around me and stuff, just trying to figure out what I'm going to do. Didn't have a shovel. Ended up, like, putting, like, a bear can in my backpack and running 2 miles. Digging a hole with a pocket knife, like, putting everything in there, and then like get back to the car, drive a quarter of a mile, and there's another blowdown, like, and I'm 10 miles from Trout Lake, barely in service, and repack my backpack to like start hiking the Trout Lake. I'm just like, I don't know what to do with this dude's rental. I don't know if there's about to be a tree through it. And then I remember I made it like a mile or two down the road, and I see headlights, and this dude like pulls over. I was like, tell him what's going on. I was like, you don't happen to have a chainsaw, do you? He's like, I got 2 of them. I'm like, cool. So I get in the truck with him, and not like a minute after I get in the truck, his coworker or boss calls him and just like, pass his clothes with trees down, like, go home. And so if I wouldn't have like seen that guy like in that minute, like I would have been like walking all morning to try to get to Trout Lake and figure all that out.
Wow.
And so he cut me out. I drove back to Seattle, and as I'm driving down the 5, like, it's just, this is the worst air quality in Seattle's history that year, and this is what I was starting in. I'm just like driving back, and I'm just like, what am I doing? Like, and then like also like it like hit me at some point. I was like, what, like that whole escapade with like the first cache and everything. I was like, I haven't even started. And this is what this is like. I was like, this is going to be insane. And it was just like one of those things where it was just like, you're not supposed to see the finish line. You don't know. Like, this is just like the beginning of like what's to come. And I think in that moment I was just like kind of prepared for some other really bad stuff that like I was just going to have to like, you know, it's like kind of like being blind, just like you're just going to like go and like know that like if you just keep going it'll work itself out, but you're not going to see the path.
So are you saying other really bad stuff happened, or were you just prepared if it did?
No, other really bad stuff happened. When I got to
when
I got to White Pass, it was like both. So I had to like my resupply at White Pass had to drive all the way around Rainier because the Seattle side was closed. When I got to White Pass, it was closed on both sides of the street. Basically, there were like 5 fires going, one of which by like Swaddle River like popped up overnight. Like that was like on my second day. It was basically like waking up in a burning building. And I'm on like the Glacier Peak Wilderness. It's like that really large like uninterrupted section where like I'm just like, you know, the idea of like the record and stuff, that was like one of like 2 times it went out the window, and it was just more of like,
survive,
don't die out here. Yeah. And it was just like I remember like thinking like, what do I do? I like wet my buff. I can't Google anything. Like, what do you do in this situation? Or like, what happens to your body when like smoke inhalation, like, you know, like, do you like pass out and start breathing again, or like, do you just choke out and die? Or so that was crazy. I remember like my mom like texted me like on the Garmin like in the middle of it, and I was like, how does she know that I'm inside of like this, basically like this burning house? But
how'd you get out of the burning house? I
just kept going, and every single time I would like go up like hoping that the next little valley didn't have so much smoke in it, and eventually I guess it did get better. But then like, man, everything went wrong in Washington. That was crazy. I ended up doing like 75-mile day over Goat Rock, like 2 Goat Rocks, and that was I did 62 or whatever Rainy Pass the first day, but that was a huge day. And then like I didn't have like poles or anything, and I hit like that little ice thing, like the snowfield on Goat Rocks, and it was raining at midnight on like my 75th mile, and I'm just like had to like use my little like pocket knife as like my little self-defense
pocket knife's coming in handy.
Yeah. Good thing I didn't lose that. But then
is there a reason you didn't use trekking poles? I just slow you down.
Yeah, I never use them on the PCT either. Now, like this year, I'm gonna bring some poles with me.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm bringing a tent that I made that's gonna use a pole.
Okay.
So I think it is just like smarter. I remember like this 10-year-old girl I saw on the JMT, and she's like, are you hiking without poles? And like, that's so dumb. And I'm just like, yeah, I guess I am dumb. But,
damn.
Then Goat Rocks, I woke up and my phone broke, like, because it was raining. So first it was just like fire for like the first like 5 days or whatever, or 6, and then it rained for like 2 days straight, and so like my phone broke like that next morning. So all I have is my Garmin, I guess, and 135 miles to the end.
So do you not have a shelter at that point?
No. So basically, like, and the same thing for Oregon. I did like the emergency soul bivvy and like emergency blanket, and I made like a sad A-frame with the blanket that night, and it just like I should have just kept hiking. I felt like
sad A. You don't have a trekking pole. Are you just making a stick to provide the structure? Or what?
I found like a branch. I would like drape it over and like try to tie like the little ends down and put rocks on them, but it didn't work. And then like my phone broke like first thing in the morning, and so then I couldn't set an alarm, and like I had like 135 miles to go, so I didn't trust myself to not sleep for a whole day like without an alarm. So I just did like the 135 like straight to the end.
Damn, how long did that take?
33 hours.
Whew.
Wow.
So when you're doing these huge days, are you running at all? Like, are you tapping into
on that one? I just started running. That was my first time hallucinating too. And that was during COVID, so it was like I hadn't seen hikers since like before White Pass, and it'd been days. And like then I started seeing like cartoon caricatures on the ground when I looked down, or I'd start hearing things or people, And like I was like, it was like the negative space in between the branches would like make out like, you know, like this like couple hiking or camping right there. And I just remember like walking, and I was like, dude, like I was like, oh no, like you know, you just saw somebody like an hour ago. I was like, no, you still haven't seen anybody for like 3 days. And like just like recalling, like thinking that I had like just seen someone.
So when you're seeing it, you're actually believing the hallucination. You're not like aware that you're hallucinating.
That was my first time hallucinating like that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, drug free.
Yeah.
And so that was it was pretty intense. But yeah, they were very, very believable.
Yeah.
Especially like the negative space sort of ones where like you're like hearing people talking and like seeing people camping and stuff. And in reality, you haven't seen anybody for days.
I love the hallucination stories. Yeah. What's the most wild hallucination you've had?
Oregon was pretty cool.
Drug or drug free?
Oregon was fun. I would like hear like music at every stream crossing, and it sounded like Nickelback. So it was like, yeah, that was crazy. But so those were fun. But then also like another, like Oregon had some pretty cool hallucinations. There's like this Rorschach ink blot sort of thing going on with like the wet dirt on the trail. So whenever I was night hiking, it was just like instant sort of like image association with my mind, where I would just be like looking at like this wet dirt and see faces and all kinds of stuff. From like John Wayne to Freddy Krueger.
Wow. Freddy Krueger at night in Oregon is probably freaky.
Yeah.
How are you responding when you see that?
I mean, like at that point, like, you know, like it's hallucinations. Your mind's like playing tricks on you. It just sucks because like I have to look down in the dark, and like it's only when I look down that like I'm having it.
Right.
So
just like sup, Freddy?
In Washington during the day, I would just like I would see the cartoon characters on the ground there, but I would just quit looking down and look like straight ahead, and so that kind of helped for that. But
are they certain cartoon characters? Like, are you seeing Dexter's Lab, or is it just like a character that looks like a cartoon?
Sort of. One of them like is like that I remember like looked like kind of like the Animaniacs.
Oh. That's fun.
But very like much more cartoony, and then like yeah, the Oregon stuff is like just like the ink blot sort of like actual like faces.
Scary.
Yeah.
Is that fun or scary? Like, where does that fall?
It's annoying. I think like mostly just annoying because you know like it's not gonna stop.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just like messing like with your head and stuff. Like,
yeah.
Sometimes like they can be kind of like fun and interesting, but yeah, during Washington, like that 133, I was running a lot, and that's when I started running all the uphills and stuff, and then that's when I really started like hallucinating. I was just
You're supposed to walk the uphills.
Yeah, that sentence does not resonate with me.
Yeah, I didn't like so I. It was so crazy. That day was nuts. I left my water filter in the last cache by Trout Lake, and then lost my last water bottle, and I only had like this little 8-ounce like Gatorade bottle for like the rest of the trip. And then I had a beer that I was saving for like when I got to the bridge, and then like I forgot how I guess dry it is like in the last like 20 miles of Washington or whatever. I was like, well, screw this, I'm just gonna drink the beer because I haven't seen water in a really long time. And then I just remember like hallucinating and remembering this was hilarious because I was just like pretty much at this point like have exhausted all of the stuff in my backpack, but I had this one giant Hershey bar, like the like comically large Hershey bars, and so that like really helped like kind of get me through. I was like, holy crap, I have like this giant chocolate bar, so pull that out.
The little things.
Yeah. It really is the little things out there that definitely help.
Did you have any no, you breathed.
I did breath.
You breathed.
I mean, mine's not any more on topic than yours, but I guess
don't know that.
I'm just curious, is it difficult to maintain motivation doing this? Because it sounds very isolating and frankly weird. And it sounds like your 2019 hike was like a kind of prototypical PCT hike. Like you're very social, you're taking your time, taking a lot of zeros. Is it difficult to maintain the motivation to do this through the smoke in COVID year when you're hallucinating, or are you like tapping into your running background and you're like, I like the challenge of this?
The challenge and stuff was great. I had a lot of fun in Washington. I think it was a crazy year. I think I before the PCT or after the PCT. Like during the PCT, I was just like, a lot of people were just like, what am I going to do when I'm done? And I remember thinking to myself, I'm either going to move to California or I'm moving back to New Orleans. But I'm not deciding any of this until I get off trail. And then, yeah, between COVID and I went back to New Orleans just to say hello to family. And I had a good friend who convinced me to move back to New Orleans, I guess, in my like short time back after trail.
That sounds like a story.
Yeah,
a bad friend, not a good friend.
No, he's great. He had a pizza restaurant and a bar and stuff, and just like kind of like opened my eyes to like everything that our friends were doing in New Orleans. And I think the motto is "Homie up and take over."
Uh-huh.
And so we were all young, and like we have a really great group of friends there and stuff. So getting the idea of like getting to do really cool stuff together. He wanted to start like the pizza festival in New Orleans and do all this stuff, and then he passed away like the day before COVID, like on leap year, on a day that doesn't even exist. And then so like that was like I think hard for a lot of us.
What happened?
His friends, Mardi Gras, and I think like just having too much fun, and so that it was hard. I think it was a wake up call for a lot of us, and like this New Orleans is a lot of fun, and it can be like the best place on earth and be one of the saddest places in the world. But that was hard. That was like, I mean, it was so crazy thinking about it, because he like didn't even know, like it was like days before the pandemic and stuff, like, so it was just crazy like that he got to skip all of that.
It's one way of looking at it.
Yeah. And so and then like all that stuff happened, and and I just wanted to go back and go for Oregon, I guess. And it was like a lot of it was like from memory of Rand, and so he definitely helped me get through that. So I was like pretty motivated to like he would always say something like, 'cause people like to talk a lot of shit and stuff, but he would say fucking prove it. So that was like my mantra for that.
That's
like
cool.
It's like, I think I can do it, but like go do it.
Yeah.
And so that felt really good, and that was a big motivation. I attempted the long trail unsupported. My only unsupported effort I ever did was that 2021 after the CDT. So I hiked the CDT. I was on the wait list for Moab that year since like January 1st, and I was like, 250 miles, that's $270. I don't have to pay $1,600 and get permission to like go after the long trail. 3,000 miles, way too many miles to hike to prepare for anything like that. So learned that the hard way. But like in that, and there's a lot of other things about like unsupported that make it suck a lot more than anything else. But it was really hard motivation-wise for that.
Yeah.
And maybe I just didn't have the right why for being out there.
Uh-huh.
Also, I had like never hiked on the AT or like the East Coast, so huge respect for the long trail.
Sure.
And that
and the long
trail
trail is the hardest of the hard.
It
for
is
the stuff
so
out there.
hard,
Yeah.
unnecessarily hard. Like,
Yeah.
and I know, like, it seems like all the locals are just like, yeah, it sucks, doesn't it? We love it.
Yeah, it's fun when you're doing like a 20-mile day, but yeah, going for the unsupported FKT is different.
But I remember like having like no motivation on that, and like without like really having that why, it does make it like probably like hard to actually like get through it.
Yeah.
I remember seeing hikers like sitting around a fire, like hanging out, having dinner, and just being like, I have 20 more miles tonight, and I can't even like talk to you guys.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just remember in that point being like pretty lonely and just wanting to go home.
Did you end up finishing it?
No, I ran out of food 50 miles from the end.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Was there a part of you that wanted to just see how far you could push it? Because I know 50 miles without food, like that is terrible, but is it dangerous necessarily?
Yeah, it was tough, like too. And then I got into Moab like flying out there. Like when I got on the plane like from Glacier, I like came in off the wait list. So that was 9 days after the long trail. And so it was kind of easy at that point to call it. But no, I remember like looking at a Butterfinger in my bag and being like, if you hike 20 more miles, you can eat this. And being like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And I didn't appreciate how like destroyed my body was at that point. So I ended up not finishing Moab either.
Because of how run down you were from the long trail?
Yeah, I mean, like I had probably like a number of reasons. Again, 3,000 miles was never like the like training recipe for that. But I was like in 4th place when I dropped out. Mike McKnight, we were like 9 hours or something, maybe under the course record.
Wow.
So it was cool. That was my first ultra marathon I've ever done. But
wow. So what caused you to drop out?
Groin injury. It was like a 13-mile like sandy area, and it was just like taking like like put your foot out to catch yourself. Like when I did that, like I like threw it out, and there was like that like a ditch right there, like a soft ditch, and it was just like that distance to the ground was a lot further. It's like when you miss a step.
Yeah. I've done that before. It sucks.
And it like I pulled my groin.
Oof.
And that was it. I mean,
just game over instantly.
It was tough because I still had like 8 miles. I had to limp to my crew.
Wow.
And there's like they weren't allowed to like come like get me or help, and they obviously like wanted me to like finish and stuff. But I mean, at that point, like I wasn't going to finish. I got there and I was just like, yeah, that was the end of it. But
how does one of those like ultra marathons compare to doing something like the Oregon section of the PCT?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Oregon stuff's got to be harder because I'm carrying all my stuff. Like, you have aid stations and everything at races like that. I think that was like one of my reasons wanting to do it. I'm just like, I've done so much harder things than this. Like, I just want
that you feel pampered doing something like that. That's you've definitely set a high bar for yourself. Do you still have the itch to go out and do more long ultras like that?
Like an ultra marathon like Moab?
Yeah.
Like you're saying like sanctioned sort of like organized races?
Yeah.
Part of me wants to go back to Moab. I want to go try to win it. Like, it's tough. Like, it's so expensive. It feels like.
You said it was $1,600?
Yeah. It's like, I mean, I don't know. They know what their expenses are, but like it was just crazy.
Yeah, I'll do it for half that.
Right? And they sold out like in 10 minutes.
Yeah. I remember when Courtney like demolished the record how many ever years ago. That was the first time I had ever heard of it. I don't know, maybe that was the first year, but I feel like it's become a big thing since then.
And they just did the 300. Well, that same destination trail races and stuff. Okay. I know we got Cocodona, that's a different little race family, but 250 miler, like the ultra sort of distance, I guess.
Yeah,
but it's fun. I mean, like, it's fun. Like, just after like all like the road racing and stuff, it's still fun to like line up and like race people head to head. It's just definitely different than like an FKT, where I could describe it as racing a ghost.
Yeah. You describe it as fun. Would you describe these FKTs as fun?
They are. I mean, like, I got one more in me, I feel like, maybe 2, but
well, so that takes us to this year, right?
In June. So like it was all a slippery slope. I was never supposed to do Washington. I just wanted Oregon. I wanted like see like that I could do it. But after I did Washington, like 58 miles a day, which is like more than the Oregon record for 50 more miles in a much harder state, I think. And so I was like, well, I can definitely get Oregon. And then I like went and like.
So sorry, what was the record in Oregon previously?
It was 56 miles a day, and then Eric Halston broke it a month before me after 10 years. And he ran 60s. And then I beat his record a month later by like an hour and a half.
Damn. Have you talked to him since?
Yeah. We actually ran into each other in REI like before. And
that's funny.
It was just crazy. Like when he announced that he was doing it, I was like in Leadville. I think Tara and Liz were going for the CT record, and we passed like ships in the night. But it was a terrible lightning storm. I remember waking up like in the middle of it and looking at like my phone and seeing his announcement that he was starting, and it was like right after I just did like a giant training day, getting ready for that. And if anybody like knew me, they knew I was like always going back for that. So it was very much a coincidence that that we were both going for the same thing. But I was like, damn, I want to go try to take this right after he said it. But no, he was really cool. He's like one of the nicest guys I met like in that community and stuff. And I definitely hated that for him, I guess. Like, sure. he was a good sport about it, but I'm sure.
Yeah, it does seem like the FKT community is very friendly in that way. Like, it lacks the cutthroat competition that you see in other sports, probably in running. I don't know.
Yeah, it's been a crazy community, but yeah, you know, like it's been nice. I recently got to like get to know Nick a lot more, and we got to like take him skiing and stuff, and it was cool. I mean, like, I think at the end of the day, like, I can tell like Nick's like doesn't necessarily want somebody to take his record.
Yeah, sure.
But,
sure. They put on the front of being nonchalant about it, but, you know, the fire's inside.
But no, it is cool. It is nice when like when people can get along and stuff, and
Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, I don't know. It is a weird community because, like, yeah, my running, like, you see these people all the time. There's so many people in the community, like, I've never met, and like, so it is like kind of like weird and different, and you're just like always out there by yourself or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's hard to.
It's just interesting because I grew up on Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, and those guys are the biggest competitive assholes of all time. Like, they'll shit talk their opponents. They won't talk to, like in Tiger Woods' case, he won't talk to the guys that he's golfing with. So to see like any sort of camaraderie in a different sport is just like different than what I have from like competitive energy.
Oh
idea.
yeah, no, I feel like running and stuff when I was younger and stuff. I was just like I felt a little like ruthlessly competitive, I guess. But yeah, it's like I guess not quite the same. It was like very like interesting sort of like dynamic for that community, I guess.
Yeah.
Like there's just people you hear about, you like barely ever see them.
Yeah.
They're running too fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So walk me through the Oregon FKT.
Wait, before you do,
We're doing a wheel
Zach
spin.
owes us a wheel spin.
I think we owe each other. We both owe our guest a wheel spin.
I will give
As a
our
birthday gift.
guest has been talking pretty good. I'll give him a wheel spin. It's his
He's
birthday.
been talking pretty good. Big money, big money,
It's
big
always
money.
a surprise for me.
Something shot?
Margarita shot. What does that mean?
I don't know.
Margarita?
I don't know what that
You
means.
wrote this.
I did not write. That's not my handwriting. That sounds like Jess. We're gonna have to.
Margarita shot.
A beer garita.
I don't know what that means. Call her.
Yeah, I'll send her a text right now.
What does that mean? I'll spin in the meantime.
Yeah.
That way she can answer.
But that's not a compliment to Jess's handwriting. If you said that.
30-second beer.
There you go. Nope. A freshie.
And I have to drink it in 30. We know I can't drink a beer in 30 seconds. This has been
The last one you got
established.
was 15, and yeah, it was.
And I
it was a
didn't.
pitiful
And did I
experience.
complete it?
Not even close.
Stopwatch, please. Thank you, Four Noses, for feeding our beer fridge.
Yes.
Shout out to you guys. I'm about to 30-second Mountain Wave American Pale Ale, and put an asterisk there because I can't do it in 30 seconds.
All right.
But show it to me so I can.
2, 1. And if Jonathan would like to spin as well.
Hold on.
Yeah, you got 20 seconds.
After all this motivational endurance talk, you can't finish a beer in 30 seconds?
You need a knife.
Puke if you've got to. Hallucinate through it. You got this, Chaunce. Dig deep. People are going to doubt you.
7, 6, 5.
Oh, she's
4,
going to do it.
3,
Oh, she did it.
2, let's
Backpacker
go.
radio history. Chaunce's FKT. She almost upchucked.
I'm a champion.
She's crying. That was good.
I guess something about
Nice.
these Four Noses beers are just so easy. Insert ad.
I think 4 ounces of that beer went up your nose.
Did it
what
did it
we
foam
got.
out when
There
I
was a
burped?
little bit of a
A
volcano.
little
action.
waterfall. Back of my mouth.
Eat an ice cube, a full cube,
Oh, you gotta put a full ice cube
No.
in your mouth
and eat it.
and eat it.
I'll go hunt down for you.
Oh, I gotta recover for a minute.
We should let him pick anything on the wheel that he wants.
Do a shot.
You can do a shot. We've got Backpacker Radio themed Maker's Mark. We've got Broken Top, and then we've got a gin and 2 whiskeys from Austin.
I'm gonna go with the one that's the easiest
Yeah.
to reach.
Yeah, I'll fix this.
You don't want to bust open an Austin?
We'll get there. We have a
Yeah.
lot of episodes.
I'm not
I think.
a cold fan.
What's a cold fan?
Oh, like the ice cube thing.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Somewhere.
Yeah, I'm not either. That one wasn't meant to be
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, Wim Hof is dumb.
I could see why you are different from the swimmers.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I feel like my stomach's finally settling. I think I was going to throw up for a second.
Definitely. I'm gonna count that as like a 10.
Not food throw up, like not like full chuck, but like it was foaming back. Foam was coming up.
It's the way that I lightly throw up every morning when I.
It's like I poured a beer, but my tummy was the glass, and I poured it too fast, so the foam was all foaming.
Yeah, your tummy didn't cooperate.
No,
Ooh-wee.
rarely does.
All right, to getting older.
Yeah. What are you turning? What's your birthday?
38.
38. Okay.
I am old.
Well, yeah, we're in the same ballpark.
No,
there.
Zach's older.
Yeah, but
How old are you?
39.
When's your 40th?
December.
Cheers. Yay. Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, buddy.
Oh, thank you.
What are we going to do for your 40th?
Something extravagant, certainly. Go to New Orleans.
Oh,
Yeah.
that foamed up too. Sometimes when I burp, if I keep the burp going, it foams up and it goes into my mouth and I have to re-swallow it.
Yeah, the beer burps.
Yeah.
The worst.
You get that, enjoy it twice. Okay. Yeah. Walk us through what was the Oregon FKT.
Wait,
like?
no. Beer garita.
Oh,
You
yeah.
either do your challenge or you 30-second a beer.
Beer and margarita.
Okay, 30-second a beer then. You don't have margarita.
Can.
No. Mine couldn't, so yours can.
By the way, this is 16 ounces, and feel how full that is. It's
Fine.
definitely more than 12 ounces.
Fine.
You gotta pass.
But if we make you do a new one, that means you have to finish the old one too
Well,
throughout
that's
the
where I'm
episode.
at. I'm going to be done with this one, depending on what the wheel says.
Okay, well, you want me to timer
Is
you?
this one timed? This one's not timed. This
Yes.
is just.
Well, who made you
Oh.
the decider?
I forgot we changed.
You don't get to decide the decisions on everything. Words. Okay, stopwatch, timer. Okay, ready,
Yeah.
set, go. See, you can drink and swallow at the same time. I keep it all in my mouth and I make big swallows. All right, 12 seconds, show off. The quiet. Wow.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Wow.
Can't wait to have
Wow.
Jabba on for the 30-second beer chug because his
3
will be coming.
seconds.
I have a video of him doing a 24-ounce hurricane, I think is what it was called.
Oh, God.
It's like a malt liquor beer that we got at one of the resort shops in Oregon on the PCT. And I challenged him that he couldn't drink it in 20 seconds, I think it was. 24 ounces, so 2 beers. I think it's like 8%. And literally, he's doing it next to the timer. I think he finished the 24 ounces in like 6.5 seconds.
Okay, here's a patent pending, aka just an idea I had. But we got to be on the same team with this. You can't go behind my back and like tell Jabba.
Yeah.
This is just like a you and me thing.
Okay.
Next time he's on, if he spins, or maybe we just make the whole wheel 30-second beer.
Yeah.
Instead of telling him he has 30 seconds to chug a beer, we tell him that means he has to see how many beers he can drink in 30 seconds.
I don't even think we'd have to lie to him. I think we just say whatever we want.
It makes more fun.
Yeah, it is true.
We'll tell him after. But I wonder how many beers he could drink in 30 seconds if he thought that was the...
Getting Jabba
Kicker.
on a wheel episode would be... that'll be like we're Ubering into the studio.
We don't even need a topic. We could just make the episode the Jabba Wheel episode.
might turn into a Patreon episode, but it'll be good content
Give it to
nonetheless.
it's what the people want. Actually, it's a great way to bring him to Patreon.
Well, we'll see how many people want that. I think the Wisconsin live episode speaks for itself. But anyways, yeah, Oregon.
Yeah. So finally made it back. I mean, it was like 4 years or 3 years, whatever. Well, 4 years since 2019, I guess. In 23, but like a long time until like I could even hike the trail since like Lion's Head opened back up and everything. So it just, and then before it happened, so Eric went and broke the record. I was with my girlfriend, now fiance, in Calgary, and I was flying back to San Francisco, and that day I was leaving, there were 1,000 lightning strikes in 24 hours across Oregon. And yeah, and so like the whole thing was just like, even flying over it was just like a blanket of smoke. And I was like, so classic sort of like situation that You know, and then they like
You know what's funny is 45 minutes before your interview, it started storming like crazy.
Oh, yeah.
I think
The second I got in my car.
I think you bring the chaos.
It might be, yeah. So I've learned that, like, yeah, it's not gonna be chill. So expect the worst, but it's gonna be, yeah, fire and then rain and. But yeah, so I was like grateful. I was still like not an official like reroute from the PCT, and at that point FKT was going off of whatever PCTA said was like legit reroute. Like you couldn't really choose your own adventure. I heard something about this year, like with like the Bridge Fire in Wrightwood, they kind of like went a different way where you can kind of choose your own adventure based on like what other hikers are doing. You still obviously can't go through closures or anything like that, but it was tough. Like, it was like, yeah, I was getting so frustrated, like, watching PCTA posts about, like, they do, like, the quizzes, and they'll, like, post, like, photos of, like, from the trail or anything. I was like, there's a closure, just tell us what way to go. But, I mean, you know,
Take this BuzzFeed quiz to find out which way you should go.
Yeah. And, yeah, no, it was, like, obviously for, like, selfish reasons, too. It was like, I just want, like, a way for me to, like, be able to do this. And they opened it up, like around Elk Lake, like, right before I started, so it was like an extra 9 miles or something, I think I did. But I had a way to do it, and so that was cool. But yeah, typically my go-to for these things is like start at midnight. So like the sleep thing's obviously important, but I can get away with like a long night on like the first night, and then just like run that straight into sunset the next day or the same day, and then have like a normal night's sleep. But get like those extra like 4 or 5 hours of hiking. And do really big first days. So like Washington, I made a Drainey Pass. It's like 66 miles or something. Oregon, I did 72.
Wow.
And then after that, like start doing like 60s from there. And yeah, I mean like Oregon was pretty smooth for how very high mileage, I guess. Like, yeah, there's a big difference between a 50 and a 60. Like.
Are you hiking hard? Are you jogging?
I was running like for like a lot of the beginning of Oregon too, and kind of slack packed that first day, and then so that was just yeah, I'd say.
And this is unsupported.
Self-supported.
Self-supported.
Yeah, so I did
a bunch. And resupplying.
Yeah, I did a lot of caches.
Okay.
So I would just like hide stuff in the woods, before, and that seemed to work out. Should carry a cast iron. For Washington and Oregon.
Why? Why? Literally why?
Yeah. No good reason, I guess, but I would like I put like steak with dry ice in like a foam cooler. You
carried dry ice?
I put it like
in
inside the cache.
Oh.
And then so like it was vacuum sealed steak, so like it was all like it was the same thing like beer, soda, Red Bull, Gatorade. Everything was
all the major food groups.
Now, to interrupt, how long does dry ice stay icy in a cache?
In Washington, it was like everything was ice cold when I got to it. Now, like I'm not doing that for the PCT this year. Just like it's the desert and stuff. Like I'm doing freeze dried meals. I have a friend's mom who's like prepping all the meals and stuff right now, which is cool. So I'll carry a stove, which I'm sure a lot of people think is crazy, but I like food and sleep are
less
like,
crazy than a cast iron pan.
Less crazy than a cast iron, right? But there's nothing like a steak in the woods on like day 6.
Right, that's why I want to know personally how long these things last, because I'm like, should I cache something on my next hike?
Are we talking like a 8-inch cast iron or what?
Pretty fucking big. I should have brought it. Like it's like it's like this.
It's gotta be like half your pack weight, right?
It's like at least 2.5 pounds or something like that.
Damn,
it was
Jesus.
crazy. It's not light. When we basically like my first hike after the PCT was like we call it some shit in Nevada, but it was like a 500-mile circle like out of Gerlach back to Gerlach, tied into the ODT and stuff. It was just like an insane amount. Like first time like caching water and stuff. Like stupid. The closest I've come to like real dehydration. Just like way too much gear, like 50-pound carries and stuff. And I was like, well, if I'm carrying all this stuff, I'm going to like carry even more. So we went to Walmart and like got like a cast iron.
If I'm gonna carry all this stuff, I might as well carry more.
More like comfort items. So I'd have like the briefcase of eggs. So we carry like a dozen eggs and. Like,
what do you mean you had a briefcase of eggs?
Like you know the little yellow briefcase like. For the
like the things that keep them from cracking.
Yeah, so
that's
like
funny.
Carried eggs and like all this stuff, and then afterwards I went to Cerro Gordo, the ghost town I stayed in last winter. We like took like a frying pan from there that I've been like using on loan since Washington pretty much. And I came to the Colorado Trail to get ready for what would be Washington, my first time doing the CT. And when I was like out there with a friend, he flipped the pan over and like Googled it, and like it was like Sydney Ware and like the number, and like we looked at it, and the last time these two people like made a pan together was like 150 years ago. So it's like a really old frying pan that I've been running around with.
Here's a question. When you're carrying the cast iron, are you like dangling it from the back of your pack, which is like bad for aerodynamics, or are you putting it in your pack and just like seasoning all your gear?
So Washington was like kind of crazy. Yeah, it was just stuffed in there for Washington.
Was your stuff oily?
Yeah, I mean like, so I would, my usual, and I carried that pan on the whole CDT too, and did like French press coffee mug and all that stuff. Like,
but you can't like clean a cast iron.
I have like a bandana that I would like wrap it in, and I would just like wipe it out. If I have enough fuel and I have the time, I would like boil water. But no, like
we're going to grizzly areas on the CDT.
Yeah,
doesn't fit in a bare bowl.
The bob was scary. I was by myself at the bob too. I was like,
no, you had your
this
pan.
is so dumb. But
have you considered carbon steel?
Yeah, so like, you know, like that pan's special at this point. So like, I am not bringing it on the PCT this summer.
Yeah.
Which I ran into Heather at Trail Days, and she was like, "Oh, it's like part of your fucking thing now. Like, you have to bring it," but I don't want to.
That's really rubbing it into Nick to be like, not only did I beat you, but I had this cast iron the whole way.
Yeah.
Steak and eggs.
Right. The food makes a big difference. But no, for Oregon, I made my bag. It's like kind of like the development of like a lot of the vest style bags. Like I made that bag first for Oregon, with like the running vest on it, and then I made a pocket on that bag that I used for Oregon for my cast iron. So it's like a snap pocket, like down on like on the front panel, so that it keeps it off my back and like keeps it in place. So I would just like stick it in his pocket and snap it closed. And
Let's talk about the bob real quick. Where did you store this cast iron at night?
Oh, in the bob, it was like, yeah, I had like, yeah, and the earth sack is so dumb. It's like, it soaks in like all the stuff. I was so scared, honestly. Like, I would just like put all the food and stuff like in like my earth sack and just put it far away from me. I mean, I did all the things. Like, I wouldn't like sit there and like cook at camp or anything.
But would the pan fit in the earth sack?
Yeah. I could,
okay.
It was like the XL or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I got all the food in there, but it was.
Did you have any like bear marks on the?
I never had like any bear issues. I mean, I saw like my first grizzly in the bob, like by myself, like going over a pass in the morning, and that was scary. Like, it was scary how fast it ran away from me. I was just like, that's terrifying.
I didn't know you could take an Ursac. Like, could you take an Ursac on the whole CDT in place of a bear can?
Yeah, you didn't need a bear. Or maybe Rocky Mountain National Park if you camped there. I think that section was closed when we went through, like from like a fire or something.
Interesting.
But yeah, pretty much did the Ursac thing. Yeah, it was like I had more trouble with foxes.
Yeah, but foxes are cute.
Foxes are not friends.
I'd be domesticating one.
Yeah.
I'd be bringing that thing with me.
Yeah.
Little pounces.
What were the fox interactions?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, like by Wolf Creek, we thought it was a bear. Now, after working at Wolf Creek and hiking through there a lot more, I know it was a fox. I know like there's a family of foxes right there. But yeah, like Tumbleweed and Twain had like their Ursacs weren't even tied, and I'm like cowboy camp next to them, and like thing went like into the tent, took everything out of the bag, like cleaned the pans and everything, and
Sounds like a nice fox.
yeah. And then after that, like in the winds, that was hilarious. We had like, it just left town. I had like, cause I like, yeah, food when I'm like not going quick, I'm carrying way too much stuff, including like, I mean, I had, I was doing French toast and stuff, so I had like all the eggs and everything. So I had, like sourdough, like a loaf of sourdough bread. I had like my tortillas, and then like these steak rolls. And it was like all brand new fresh bread. And
what's
like,
a steak roll?
It's just like
Yeah.
a little like bun sort of thing. Like it was just like kind of like a small little like hoagie sort of thing. But yeah, like we were like having dinner on a rock, and I was just like had this weird feeling like we were getting hit. And I was just like, there's something in camp. So I go walk over there and see like this little fox scurry away, and just like tie up the food real quick and be like, oh, that was a close one. And then I'm like in the tent, like going to sleep, and I was like, oh shit, I do not remember putting any of that bread in my ursack. And I was like, what the hell? And I just like got up, and I realized immediately they took all the bread. So like I got up and
He said that.
I got up and I like still could hear the foxes out there. So I just like went to go find these foxes now and go like get my bread back.
You're not gonna still eat the bread after the foxes? Like, can't you get something?
It was all so dumb. It was just anger. Like I was just like they took my.
If I can't have it, you can't have it.
I mean, they literally took my happiness that night. I was just like, we were just like first day out of town, like for like a week, and I'm just like, all the bread is gone.
Yeah.
And then as I'm doing that, I like take my gloves and like throw them next to the tent to go like run after these foxes, and one of them comes and takes one of my gloves and runs away.
Conniving.
Yeah. And then I've had like.
Did you get the glove back?
No. No. I was so pissed. I mean,
You just sound exasperated telling the story.
yeah. I've had like other run-ins with them, like same family of foxes at Wolf Creek. When I was getting ready.
Same family.
When I was getting ready for Oregon, they
It's
like
a long-standing feud.
the giant fox. I see it. Like I'm like right by the resort and stuff, and like I was about to camp, and I see this fox, and I was like, "You're not gonna leave me alone." Like I was like already unpacking. I packed everything back up, walked 3 more miles. This fox followed me, and like it was also like I'm dumb for like tying my food bag up to like a blowdown, but like he followed me all the way to where I stopped and camped, like by the snowcat up there, and they spent all night like gnawing on my food bag, like sucking on it like a popsicle, and like it was just like this slobbery, like really messed up. Like,
How do you know it's the same family?
oh, I worked at Wolf Creek this winter too, and so like some of my like coworkers been there for like 25 years. There's like no, there's like it's like this family of foxes that lives off this resort.
Wabbit.
If they're this notorious, do they have names?
I could think of a few, but they would probably know better than me if they have like real names, but they might they've been around apparently for like a really long time. And then I started like adding it up. I was like, that's the same place where we camped with like I was like that wasn't a bear, those were foxes that
That's hilarious.
took tumbles in 22. But yeah, but no, so far no bear issues, but
Yeah.
Cool.
yeah, love the food.
What other sort of luxurious meals are you cooking on trails? You got eggs, steak.
We did pancakes, and I mean like
Are you bringing the mix? Or are you making it from scratch?
Bring the mix. Yeah, I mean like the coffee was great like on the CDT. I was like had like the little GSI like French press mug.
Yeah.
And like would like just make coffee for like we had like a little trail family, and I would like I hate like the instant coffee, and like yeah, I can't cold soak. Like I need to have like real food and stuff. So yeah, just like a real cup of coffee was great. I was just like make it and share it with our whole little trail family. But the French toast got pretty crazy between like syrup and like cookie butter. If you ever had cookie butter?
Oh yeah.
Butter.
Yeah.
And then
Trader Joe's is the best.
oh yeah, so that and Nutella and syrup and like yeah, just being in the backcountry.
Yeah. Damn. That's gourmet.
Here's a question, because I'm still hung up on this dry ice thing and all the doors it could open. If you were carrying a bear can, could you put the dry ice in it and hike with the dry ice, or are there flaws that I haven't thought of in this?
That's a good question. I know like dry ice is weird as far as like you're not supposed to like touch it with your hands and stuff.
Right.
So I don't know what it would do to plastic, I guess, but I would think so.
But they put it in like some sort of plastic bag when they ship things with dry ice.
Yeah.
Like the dry ice is in like an ice pack.
I think you could do it. I'm trying to think. I mean, it definitely works. Like everything was like freezing cold. That plus like that was Washington and stuff, so it was like it's still like really cold. Like if you did that shit in the desert, I feel like
Well, because why don't more hikers use dry ice?
Probably
it's hard
risk.
to find too. Like I had to like call around to find the grocery store that had it, and
Yeah.
It also, once it gets opened, it creates a tremendous amount of, I don't know, smoke or vapor or what you consider it precisely.
No, I'm not thinking about opening it. I'm thinking about like think about medical supplies in the mail. They mail them with dry ice if they have to be refrigerated, or like if you're getting an order of food from like wherever the heck they have one of those things in it. Why don't we more often use those things to keep fresher foods on us while we hike? I'm thinking in the potential. hypothetically, if I do the Wonderland Trail with Jess in July, hello listener, this is a new maybe. What's to stop me from putting dry ice in a safe baggie into a bear box bag container and making steaks or anything like that on the Wonderland Trail?
Sounds like nothing. Sounds like it's been
No.
tested.
So why don't people do that?
I mean, you could. I think it's just like, the logistics of getting to the store and doing all that stuff. If you're just doing something like the Wonderland Trail, I think it would make sense to go like hit a grocery store before. And
I'm Googling
I think
now.
it like gets harder when you're doing like a full through hike and you have to like get to that town and then find it and then go
Right.
ahead and set it up, or I guess if you had your bear can, just put it like in your bear can.
Let's try it.
But yeah, for like on the CDT, I did like the steak thing too. My usual like go to, I never like iced down any of the steaks. I would just like get them vacuum sealed and try to eat them quick. But like I definitely like had like some like get like questionably warm,
Yeah.
but they're still vacuum sealed and
Got that like rainbow sheen on it.
yeah.
I mean, I'm just
You're gonna
thinking
set it.
my bear canister could be the refrigerator because it already keeps things pretty cold if you keep it in the center of the bear canister, but I could effectively make this sucker into a refrigerator.
Should try it.
Really, couldn't I?
Yeah, it works really good. Like everything was like freezing cold.
You could buy dry ice on Amazon.
Some things were like frozen.
And look, they come in those. That's what I'm saying. They come in these packets.
Oh yeah. Oh,
I
that's
guess
cool.
You'd have to factor
That's
in the
different than
weight
what
of
they gave
that.
me. They gave me like the like raw stuff that.
Right, you don't want to touch that. But like, look at the cooler one where it's just like little. I'm going on a tangent, but the wheels are turning here, and I guarantee someone listening this is thinking, "Why can't I pack dry ice?"
Yeah.
Some ice
And we're
cream.
gonna get a great mailbag to this. I guarantee someone's gonna be like, "Okay, so I tried it."
Also, is your plan to cache it at the ranger station and then pitch it?
No,
Are you carrying it with you?
my brain doesn't fully know how long dry ice lasts. So if I were to get a packet of dry ice, how long does that last?
It's got to depend partly on like.
And is it once you crack? Is it like a
conditions
glow
and
stick?
stuff.
Like once you crack it, your time starts, or is it?
It says 18 to 24 hours in a standard cooler.
What's the point? This one says 48 hours. But if you can get into like, let's say you're doing a 5-day resupply and you can keep the dry ice cool for 48 hours, you probably get another 12 of cool down.
Yeah.
So you can get 3 full days of refrigerator.
Just sounds like more logistics than I would personally want to manage.
I'm kind of willing to try this. I might try this if I do go on that hike, which I think I will. I just need a better sales month before I ask.
Let's talk about your company.
Okay.
Yeah. Exotic Pax.
Yeah.
What was the inspiration?
Oh God. Did Jabba tell you? I think Jabba's like one of the only people who actually said this too. I'm sure I'll get sued by like Carol Baskin. But yeah, my first one, obviously I ran at LSU, so like the Tiger thing, I guess, is like, I'm probably gonna get sued for that. Yeah, I wanted a Joey. I couldn't get one. My friend made a bag that was pretty similar,
A
What's
Joey?
a Joey?
like a Palante.
Okay.
They're called, is that the model?
Yeah, so
Look at us not knowing.
I just nicknamed mine the Joe Exotic.
There it is.
But anyways, so like the backpack thing, I've had issues with gear in the past and stuff like that. Obviously, I wanted like the first homemade bag or handmade bag that I had from a friend was for Washington. After that, the bag, I had like other bags break. My bag on the long trail ripped, like as soon as I picked it up, like at the border, like on both sides. Like as soon as I picked it up to put it on,
Yeah.
like both shoulder straps ripped. I could hear them rip. And
I'm assuming you've got an insane amount of food and
yeah, it was unsupported, so
Yeah.
it was just like, and I ran out of food. It was
Yeah.
very funny. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just started making my own stuff, and I think like seeing somebody make my bag for Washington, like kind of started getting some wheels turning. And then I was like, when I was working for the news, I got an industrial sewing machine, and my little like my apartment was like the size of this room, but I would like go home and sew on it.
Here's a question. I love this. Okay, sorry, I'm exciting myself. I've done some research into this because I like will hyperfixate on a idea and then like really jump down a rabbit hole of a hobby and then get burnt out and bored of it and move on to the next thing. And one of my exciting ideas that I'm in like 18 Facebook groups about but haven't actually done anything towards is embroidery. I feel like I could be good at that. But I don't think buying like a commercial grade embroidery machine makes sense for anyone to do as the first step. So then I started looking at sewing machines, and there's so many on the market. How do you pick a good first sewing machine?
Oh God, I'm a terrible person to talk to. I got like the best sewing machine for my first sewing machine.
What's the best? Because that's how I am.
For me,
I want the best one.
I have a Juki DDL 8700.
Can you say that word slower?
Juki is a Japanese industrial sewing machine manufacturer.
You think they're better than Brothers?
Yeah.
Okay. And
I mean,
Singers?
I know Brothers have like some pretty nice industrial machines as well.
I mean, I don't need an industrial one. I just need like something I can fuck around
Yeah,
with.
as far as like the home machine and stuff. I mean, I grew up with my mom. Yeah,
Okay.
it's the whole table. Like it's really heavy, but like that is the only machine that I have personally like sewn on, which I'm sure like tons of people listening to this are like, that is crazy.
But you seem like the type of person that would do a shit ton of research.
I did, and so in my mom, I watched her like sew like as a kid growing up, like the first few bags like we made together. Like I made one for I was gonna use one for the long trail and like had to end up buying one off the shelf, and that's one that ripped. But the plan was always like to make one, and we were like making like the first couple like I made with my mom, and most of it was like her sewing and like me being like, this, let's cut this like this, and helping pin and all that good stuff. But just, and then growing up and watching her sew, I could see the frustration. I mean, with like the threading of the machine.
That's what frustrated me about the one I had growing up.
All this shit that like would just like
Kept
not
coming
take very
undone.
long to like, and then like the frustration and stuff was like, I can't do it. Especially like when I knew like I was gonna be sewing really thick. I mean, I still break needles, like almost like a needle in every bag that I make. Just with that machine, just like this one stitch at the end that like it's going through a lot of fabric. So, like I couldn't do what I'm doing without like another machine. I think I kind of like understood that, and I mean, I got a decent deal on it. I think it was like $1,000 or just about.
Yeah, because I think the one that I was looking at was like 2,100, 22.
Pretty
they've
sure
got all
the price is
these.
probably going up with everything going on.
Yeah.
Like importing stuff
Sure.
now too.
Do you remember what the difference was when you were researching between like Brother, Singer, all those other ones? Like what led you to Juki?
I just knew that like most like backpacking manufacturing companies use Juki,
How is
and
that true?
and I guess my mom like she got a machine, a Juki, like right before I got mine too, that can like sew leather and stuff. And so I just, yeah, I think like from everything on the internet I could see like other ones. I think Sailrite makes a really cool machine that I would like to get. It does like a zigzag and a straight stitch, and it's small, and it's like pretty much industrial, but it's like,
You know it's not going to be a cheap sewing machine when instead of telling you the price, it puts your name and email and
Yeah.
phone number.
oh, it's like
It's like the market price for fish.
it
Yeah,
is crazy.
Just tell me how much you cost.
I mean, like bar tackers now, like a bar tack machine's like doing like all like the like high strain areas on a bag, like daisy chain stuff. Like basically, like if you have climbing harnesses from Black Diamond, they're gonna use these bar tack machines that do like the old ones used to do like 28 or 42. It's like a real tight zigzag, and those old ones just did one. Now they're all computerized, and you can adjust like the width and the length and stuff like instantaneously on a computer screen on the machine. And I mean, they're like $6,000.
When you're
machines.
talking like making gear, and I think a majority of the listeners that would get into buying a sewing machine would be to fuck around with their own gear. When you see different models that are like 5 stitch patterns, 27 stitch patterns, 20 stitch patterns, 50 stitch patterns, I'm just looking at one screen here.
Yeah.
Do you need all those stitch patterns for
No.
making the stuff we use?
I mean, for me, I that's a straight stitch machine. It does one stitch.
Yeah.
You can adjust like the length of that stitch, and like the tension on the machine and stuff. But it's not like those ones that do all these crazy different ones.
So your backpacks and everything, it's all one stitch?
All one stitch. Tumbleweed's got like a cover stitch and a serger. Now he's got a pretty nice serger that he just got, but he was using, it was like a smaller Juki like that he had before, and now he's got a real nice industrial one. But same thing though, those are still just doing one stitch. I talked to people who because Vormy is right next to us in Pagosa Springs, and we have a buddy that works there, and he was telling me about their machines and a buttonhole machine.
Yeah, they've got that right here, buttonhole device.
You can spend $6,000 on a buttonhole machine, and it just does buttonholes.
What are the stitches? I know I'm sidetracking us from his company, but we're easing into it.
This is it.
What are I figure if I'm interested, someone else might be. What are the main stitches you use when making backpacking gear?
For me, I literally do everything. This whole bag right here is all straight stitch.
Yeah.
Everything on the bag.
But other people, if they expand into other stitches, let's say top 3 to 5.
Zigzag's probably a good one. I would this I've been looking at this Sailrite that does a zigzag just to have a nice zigzag. I feel some of the home machines it's so hard getting it towards pretty.
Yeah.
And I think I would only use a zigzag in pretty parts of the bag, doing colored thread and stuff.
Is zigzag for any reason other than aesthetics?
It's good for stretchy stuff, if you're doing elastic and stuff like that, because it kind of is built into
zigs and zags.
Yeah, it zigs and zags.
So you really only need those two.
Those two if you're doing what I'm doing, but Tumbleweed can't make these sweaters with my straight stitch machine, because he'll do cover stitch or surges and stuff.
And what's a cover stitch? Show me the end.
Let me see if I can find that. That is a cover stitch.
Hold on, I gotta put my glasses on because I'm old as fuck. Okay. So the classic, you see that on the bottom of your sweater stitch.
You got it, yeah. And then there's another part of this somewhere.
I'm gonna move our spinny
This
wheel.
That's surge.
Oh, and that's the one that makes the little part that sticks out, the seam.
Yeah,
Sticky
you
outy.
got it. And it sticks all that stuff together, and on the other side, you can't even tell really where that seam is.
Yeah.
So, that's
So
pretty
a
clean.
cover stitch, a surge stitch, a zigzag stitch, and a single stitch, and you're good to go.
I mean, for clothing and garments, a surge and a cover, and probably a zigzag. I know he zigzag these.
That's good to know.
Little cuffs and stuff. But
Well,
for
'cause
me, I do everything with a straight.
I'm the type of buyer where I want to have for some. I'm the perfect buyer because I want the thing that's most expensive and does the most stuff. So I'm looking at these and I see one has 50 stitches patterns versus 20 stitch patterns, and my mind wants to look at the 50 stitch one.
I'm apprehensive about that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm more of if you're doing 50 things, I just want something to do one thing really well instead of 50 things okay.
Which makes so much sense.
But it's tough, especially with some of these industrial machines are I want a bar tacker, I want another straight stitch machine,
But you're right. When would you ever use 49 of those stitches? You know?
Yeah. I mean, I use one stitch for everything. I've done some interesting bags, I guess.
Okay, hop us back into Joe Exotics.
Yeah, so
I have a quick interjection.
Yeah.
I've been giggling over here,
Why?
and maybe related. Tell me about the crap fart hat.
Oh God, Maker and Cook. It's
Show
funny
me.
because they came through hiking our first season. They were the ones who taught us about because we were living in the yard at that point, and they were just what are y'all doing? Y'all need to get a weed sprayer to do your dishes. But they're really nice. Maker and Cook. They're actually from Baton Rouge too. But she buys these beanies and sews a crap fart tag onto it, and we sell.
Does she have any beef with Carhartt, or is it?
No, I don't know what it was but they've been a little hot item, and so those are.
I want one.
We got
Same.
them. We should have brought those,
Yeah,
but
right.
we got.
I like my gift just fine. Don't worry.
Yeah, but no, we got crap fart hats.
I'm gonna buy one for sure.
Yeah, no,
This is more reason to go to Louisiana for a road trip. A, good food. B, they're there.
yeah.
Well, see, there's people in Louisiana we could interview.
But yeah, Maker was really cool. She encouraged me to make food bags for the first time, just making hers, and her trail name is Maker because she makes a bunch of stuff. So somebody that we've toyed around with, corying to coerce into coming and working full time in our sweatshop.
Yeah.
Rachel put her on the potential guest list.
Yeah, and then Cook he cooks, so that was great when we were especially living in the yard the first year. But
And one other kind of off the wall question before we get back on point here. Do you know that you are second on Google listings for Exotic Pax?
really,
Do you know what the first one is?
what is it?
It's
Is it weed?
It's an egregious
It's
weed
weed.
website.
Yeah. Yeah.
I went to this. I'm like, whoa, they really are going after a market.
Why
Yeah.
would that be an exotic pack? Oh, like packs, like those vapes?
Yeah,
Aren't
like
packs
packs
a
of
vape?
weed.
But I thought
You're
packs was like
asking
a
the wrong guy.
nicotine.
Yeah.
Mm.
Units.
These all
or-
have interesting. Talk about
Not to
cartoons.
give free advertising to a similar
Weed
name,
companies?
but the designs on their bags is actually very cool.
Yeah, but they're not backpacks, so I don't know if
No,
it's
they're-
taking away.
It's a different kind of pack, but okay. Back
Yeah.
to Exotic Pax.
Yes.
Yeah, so I started making stuff for like the first like vest style one I made was for Oregon, and the second one I made was the one I used for Oregon, and that's kind of like how that sort of like vest style design started, and that's been pretty cool. I make that in like 3 different sizes now, but yeah, it just started for like me making stuff that was like for like kind of like my own dumb shit in the woods. That you know, we're in a unique spot in Chama. Like Chama needed somebody for like resupply there. Everybody kind of relied on the mail, or like we go to Santa Fe or Pagosa to go get an ice axe, or so we've done well. We're across from the post office there, but so we have a unique spot on the trail, especially as like cottage companies and gear manufacturers, where not only are we doing this stuff and making it, but we have like a captive audience, and we also have people that like have like serious, like I've done, like I had to replace straps on people's backpacks like my first year, and it was like one of the things I did not expect when we moved into the container the first year was like how much gear repair I was going to be doing.
How do you charge for that? Do you charge based on the hour? Like
Yeah.
someone comes in like my pack's fucked, you have to be like, I don't know, $40?
It's pretty like casual and nice. Like I'm not like, I don't like kind of I'm pretty easy with it. I think I spent a lot of time like in bike shops, and I would charge for repairs, and they'd be like, "Oh, how much is that?" I was like, "I don't know, give me like $10." Like, and so a lot of it's like that. Like I've done like $40 or $60 or something like for like some strap repairs and stuff.
Yeah.
I've also like last year like was our first trail days since I was moving back from the ghost town. All my stuff was like in the van. I drove straight to Silver City for CDT trail days, and so my sewing machine was there. I was like, I moved the sewing machine into the Motel 6 and made some fanny packs the night before, and then the day of put the sewing machine on the lawn and just did free gear repair for people. So that was all free. Some people, like I replaced like a zipper on somebody's tent, which just said like I've learned like what to say yes to.
Yeah. We just missed CDT trail days. How was it this year?
It was bad weather, but it was fun. I mean,
Yeah.
It was good for us, and like, you know, we were every year. This is our 3rd season for the store, and like we feel more and more prepared.
So do you go as the pack company, as the general outfitter?
We have our
kind of
own little
both?
thing, yeah. So we had like a hiker make us a little like Tumble on Outfitter sign, and then I'm almost to the point where I actually have like a logo, but I had like a little QR code this year. I don't have business cards or stickers or anything like
Does
that.
Exotic Pax not have a logo?
It sort of does. Like it's just like an image on my phone, but no, it doesn't.
You should ask Tate to make you a logo.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
because-
I definitely want some
forget that.
stickers from.
Don't make Tate do it.
I want him to make me some stickers. I got a good idea for a sticker.
We can put you in touch with Colleen. She used to walk Harper when she was a baby, and I was.
Well, Colleen is legit.
She's
and
an actual legitimate
Yeah.
person. She'll charge you an actual legitimate price, but she'll do a really good job on it.
There's
Cool.
also a
We're cool with
hilarious
that.
element with the wild card. Tate will come up with something it'll be like crap fart.
We
It'll
did
be-
say
Yeah.
that Tate needs to make our next stickers. I will ask him
yeah, we
about
gotta
that.
hold his feet to the fire there.
Here was my next question, which you just circled me back to because I forgot about it. How did you and Tate connect on this?
Oh,
Because
God.
okay, so backstory for the listeners. If you haven't already listened to Tate's episode, it came out in the April month. Tate Pyro Dobson.
April 21st.
April 21st. He talks about the pack he's going to be hiking with, which has his friend's face printed all over it. And we didn't know until today that it's you that's doing that pack.
Yeah.
Because we were just laughing at the fact, because he was just saying, I found some guy to do this pack.
I was dying when he like made the request.
How did he find you?
So we have like I guess some mutual friends like Toe or Maud, and then Cal, and just some people like around like Durango and Taos and stuff.
Yeah.
And like this trail's a small place, I guess.
Yeah.
So like I was doing some at this point I've done some like odd requests like for backpacks and stuff. So no, it was a great one. So. And I think we had a bunch of mutual friends. I think that was like the bottom line. And I don't know
Yeah.
if he found me first or his mom, but like mom definitely reached out.
Have
It
you
was
met
just-
his mom?
No, I haven't. I
Oh
hope
my God,
to.
she's the sweetest woman in the world.
Yeah. So that the
Maya.
She was just like, I think like
When she's in town, we gotta interview her.
she's got to be close with like all like Pyro's friends too, right?
She was so he was a camper at the camp I worked at, and she was the camp nurse.
Because when she reached out, she's like, I like heard such great things about you from like Toe and stuff, and like
she's an absolute sweetheart.
And so they then talked to Tate, and he like told me what he wanted. I was like, I can do that. He sent me the photo, and I was like, I'm dying. I actually got to meet Amos, who is his trail name. That's who that's his photos on his backpack.
Yeah.
So how often do you take these custom requests?
Pretty much all the time. Like, I mean, like, so, and like for me, it's like, I'm not like, if I manufactured this stuff in Vietnam, like they're probably like a 300 bag minimum. And like, I'm going to like pick my colors and sizes and everything. And that's it. Then I'm like driving around selling bags out of the trunk of my car. Like what I do, like it's hard because like the vest too, like it's not like fully adjustable, they're not removable vests. It's sewn into the side panel. So I get people like, I don't really like, I've got some stock bags for the store this year. I just made a stock order for a store in Pagosa Springs. We got Blair and Lone Pine, Big Willie's that carries some bags, but that's it. Other than that, like people, it's not like the cleanest sort of thing. I want to get like the customizer on the website, but right now, like they just buy a bag off the website and like imagine what they want and send me, because like I'm gonna have to make the bag anyway, and I want it to fit. So
there's not an upcharge for getting a custom.
I haven't been doing any of that stuff.
You should definitely do that.
Yeah, but it's like I'm gonna cut it out anyway for these people. So I'll upcharge them like for like Tate or like Cal, like they like it's cool. Like one day, like the goal is to be doing in-house sublimation to where I can put your grandma's face on your backpack, like myself, like in the house on like a one-off. Right now, like I've been using outdoor ink to do all that stuff, which is like pretty cheap, but it's like
outdoor ink.
It's part of Ripstop by the Roll. I don't know if they like contract that separate company, if they're in-house, how that relationship works, but somebody around there is doing all this custom sublimation on like a dozen at least like different materials. They can like send
and
you.
You said you can buy a yard at a time.
For like the spandex and stuff, they might have like different things, but I've done like some crazy stuff. One dude, Matt Graham, my friend, he wanted a quiver, and he wanted it to look like the deer skin that he made his other quiver out of. So we like use like they've got like the what is that, the Penta, I'm gonna miss the name, but like the color, like all the colors in the world, and like you pick whatever color and they'll dye the Dyneema. You pick your weighted Dyneema and stuff. They'll do all of it. It's pretty, like for the spandex it was like $33 for a yard. Yeah. So it's not like that much. It's more spandex than I need for the backpack.
Yeah.
But so, we make gaiters too, so.
If I wanted to do anything, may it be a backpack or a fanny pack or gaiters, that's like Zach's face, like a Trek spoof, where it's like the Trek logo, but the upper mountain is inverted, and it's just like Zach looking like on all these photos. Is that possible, or would you 1,000%. Like would you have some sort of what's the word? Is there a morality issue?
No.
Excellent.
Yeah. Yeah. We do. Yeah. I mean, like. I just made a Gucci bag for somebody.
No way.
Like,
could you make me a Buffalo Bills bag?
He actually sent the spandex in. Yes. I mean, like, like I made a Star Wars bag for.
You should probably not include this stuff on the podcast.
I'm like, in theory, you'd need licensing, but.
Yeah. We do, but like,
who's listening?
Like, yeah, it's like at some point I just feel like, it's just like a matter of time. Like,
well, you know what?
Trouble,
we had John Mackey on, who's the founder of Whole Foods, and he had originally named the company Safer Way, because he wanted to fuck with Safeway. And I was like, did you ever get a lawsuit? And he was like, no, but I really hoped so.
We call our gators clean boys.
It's funny.
Right.
Okay. So you can send your lawsuits to, what's the email?
Yeah. The trails where I walk at gmail.com.
We should do a spoofy one. We should get you a nice Chaunce bag, and we should get me a nice Zach bag, and then people will know when we're coming. Gossamer Gear will hate us, but...
Yeah, we'll be visible at night for sure.
We'll be proud of our first lawsuit.
Yeah. I'd be happy to contribute.
What?
We're going to frame it.
Yeah. To you getting the lawsuit, not contribute to the cost. Let's be very clear there.
No, it's okay.
So which of these models is the most popular?
It's hard to say. I think... I guess lately, like, a lot of people have been, like, into the frame Brazos. It's like, I'm excited about the PCT this year. I'm going to see like maybe like 7 or 8 of the bags that I made on it. Last year was like the first year we had a bag on the trail. The first time I ever had somebody buy a bag was really scary. Just like they were going to do the PNT, and I'm just like, I hope the straps don't break. but now it's cool. We're on I like bags on all the trails this year. The Crunchy is like kind of like a new. It's like I call it the little 28 liter that I made with the vest, like the FKT, the fastest known pack. And then the Crunchy is like basically the exact same bag that I made for a hiker named Crunchy, and he wanted like more volume and stuff, and that's cool. It's like 33 liter. It's like just a bigger version of that. I think that bag's super cool. But the Brazos, if you're into the vest thing, is really cool. The removable frame is really nice. I do like a plastic frame sheet with like a shaped aluminum stay. So I like sew a piece of grosgrain into the plastic, and then I allele the aluminum in the garage. I just like heat it up and bend it and make like my own little stays.
Damn.
And that's like all sewn into like a pocket. Or it's got like a removable, like a pocket, like a shaped pocket for the frame that it slides into with like a foam sheet on the other side of it.
So something like a framed Brazos, what's the comfortable carrying weight for something like that?
Gosh, these are things
It's a 45
like
liter.
I need to figure out, but and I had like people who were like out like on the AT, like the Gucci bag was like
I'm still comfortable.
that bag. Yeah, he's like, yeah, this is great. I was like, how much do you have in that bag? But I would think like up to like hopefully like 40 pounds.
Okay.
You know, like I think my goal in all of this was like, yeah. I mean, the bag that ripped on me, the company told me. Like, he's like, well, if you had more than 30 pounds in it, then you can kick rocks.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, yeah, like, I want to carry more than 30 pounds.
Yeah.
So I definitely don't want I've carried like 50 pounds a lot. So I think my thought is like, I want my bags to be able to do that. I need to do like more testing to be able to be like, you know.
You stand by that.
Yeah. Even like have like some videos showing like, this is me stress testing this bag.
Yeah.
This is me stressed. This is me not stressed. I noticed all of your bags have this, like, if you look at what's like a quintessential thing of the brand, I noticed all your bags have this zipper across the front.
Yeah.
That's like universal across models.
That broken phone in Washington. Like, I just like having a dry place when like it gets rough out there to be able to secure my phone and things and have like a waterproof pocket.
So this is like an oh shit, it started raining pocket.
Yeah, like and like same thing with the vest pockets. I've had it like just in my hand and break, so I like having like the pockets up front are really cool for that. Like when you're just hiking and you need it accessible. But if it just started like pouring rain and you want to make sure that something didn't break, you can put it in the waterproof pocket. I mean, most people I think really like it. I've had like a couple people be like, I don't need a zipper pocket, but for the most part, I just like make it stock on all the bags that I make.
How much does that front zipper add in terms of ountage?
Oh God, most of like the FKP and stuff, they're usually like 1.1 pounds, something like that.
Ounces.
I'm sorry, like it's 17 or 18. Oh, like how many ounces is the zipper pocket?
Just that feature, because a lot of packs don't have that.
Like a couple ounces maybe.
Yeah.
Like 1 or 2. It's a nice zipper. I get worried about zippers, but we use like the HHH zipper. It's a like Korean waterproof zipper.
What waterproof?
It's from Korea.
Oh, okay.
But like it seems like it's like the most solid. Like the YKK stuff, like the Eurotech, I've had them blow out on people. So like I haven't had that happen on that zipper yet. So you know, I know people are scared of zippers.
That's the one that you find on all your jeans, right?
YKK, yeah, and they make like this one is YKK, like waterproof. And then this, yeah, that's the same kind, but the other one's like a real thick, like black waterproof zipper. That's like the zipper I use for all those pockets. And I try to use it on all of them unless someone's like, I just want color. Yeah.
Explain the vest functionality of it, because the like wide shoulder straps with the built-in mesh pockets I think is becoming the soup du jour for pack makers nowadays, but yours is unique that it has like the additional vest pockets on the side.
Yeah, so first of all, like the feeling of it is like a hug, so that's really cool. Like it's not bouncing around or anything. I mean, that should
be the tagline of the company, by the way.
Yeah.
Feels like a hug.
We feel like a hug. Yeah. So it's just like, I bind it in elastic as well. So like when I do this, like it makes everything
Can I put it on?
nice and stretchy. Yeah. And then I call this one the Sand Wand. This is my bag for the first 700 miles of PCT this summer.
What does it look like after 700 miles of the desert?
I'll send you a photo.
Yeah.
You don't have any chest clippies.
So it's got a little closure that it's like squeeze hooks with like
We just don't have the cord.
might
No, you
have
don't need
one
to.
in my
Don't.
pocket. Yeah.
It's fine. I'm not going anywhere.
But basically it's
though.
like this,
Okay.
and so it's like 4 little squeeze hooks.
What's the advantage of that system as opposed to a clip-in?
So this is nice because it stretches too.
Ooh.
So with the whole elastic thing, the whole thing
Yeah.
is like very like stretchy.
Will
My
you
hand-
give us a demo with the stretchy cord
My hand
with it
just,
on?
My hand just found the
Yeah.
under pocket.
Yeah.
Have you ever had people give feedback that they just like this to put their hands? Sometimes I don't know where to put my hands when
Oh
hiking.
yeah, and the other thing is like the side pockets, like the lower vest pockets.
Whoa.
I'm making one actually for somebody right now.
That's
with,
what I was
we're
trying
doing,
to get to.
We're doing
Yeah.
fleece on the inside of it,
Shut up.
so he can like have little hand warmer pockets.
And then this one, is this the Bravos?
This is the FKP.
The FKP.
And so-
that doesn't come with a hip belt.
No, but somebody did order a Crunchy recently, and I'm putting a removable hip belt on that. And the Brazos
Yeah, brother.
comes with a removable hip belt as well. And then, let's see.
Oh, so it makes like a zigzag formation.
running
I've seen
vest.
people do like different patterns with their zigzags too.
And then I pull
And
this.
then you can, so all these
Suck me
squeeze hooks, you can kind of like tighten, and then same thing with
So how
like that guy.
how fast is it to take it on and off?
Usually I just like unhook one side of it.
Okay.
But the idea too is like you don't have to take it off.
Yeah.
So she's got like those pockets on the side, like in between the bottle pocket
Yeah.
and
Oh, I can reach that.
in the low. Yeah.
Is this lower than usual packs?
So I made it like they used to like mess that up, and I would go straight across. Now it's like tapered.
I usually
feedback,
can't reach
so-
the water.
Yeah. So the idea is that you can get everything.
What's different that I can reach it because I usually
I
can't?
just like made it like come down further, so that like it's
I
tapered.
can get everything he's. That's the
And then
first time I've ever done that in my life.
You have another
Chaunce is pickpocketing you right now.
Yeah.
I just got your phone.
You have another pocket right in front of that one, and in between that lower vest, like right.
Guide me.
What's the total number of pockets on this thing?
Oh God, I think there's like I
Whoa.
want to say 8 pockets on the vest. So like, well,
I'm taking the over on that.
Yeah,
on the vest part.
One of them,
Yeah.
one of them's a flex because like I did the umbrella mount. This is for June in SoCal. So
This is a plug for our
Nice.
YouTube because Chaunce is currently
I've never reached
acting
these
rabid
sides
in front
before.
of the camera.
I've never been able to reach these. I feel like I've stretched.
and so I'm gonna use like 750 milliliters soft flask for this particular pack this summer. You can fit a 1 liter smart water bottle into those lower pockets. You also have the zipper pockets.
Yeah.
On those where like you'll fit a phone.
Yeah.
Like the biggest phone you can imagine will fit inside that.
Right.
It's just like good secure area. Yeah, you have 2 entries into that too. Yeah, right?
The electronics, snacks, maps capability with that thing that's next level.
So this pocket right here,
Yeah.
In Oregon I lost my bag of cords. And I was like, it was pretty like not ideal for an FKT. Like I need to plug in my Garmin.
Yeah.
I need to like keep my trackers going. I lost like the plug to my watch, so I couldn't use the watch anymore.
Is this the one you're talking about?
Yeah, so I did 2 of them on this one. So these are specifically for my power cords, like and battery banks and stuff like that.
Am I supposed to reach that wall?
No, it's just like on there, so I've got like a safe place. So it's got like a safe place for it to live. And everything's got its own home. Like I got a place for my phone. I got a dry place for my phone.
Yeah.
Like usually, like I put like a Garmin pocket on here, but I did the umbrella mount on this one. You can fit a Garmin in the zipper pocket. The FKP. I call this one the Sand Wand just because of the umbrella.
It's like a Swiss Army knife of packs, like with all the pocket accessibility, different sizes and storage components.
My other one's in the van for the Sierra. I made a bear can bag, which is like super interesting. It holds my BV 450. I did like the back. It's got the vest on it, but the back panel full zip. and I put my quilt inside of the back panel, and I have like a foam sheet along the back panel. Like I brought it to trail days last year because I thought I was doing the PCT last summer, but I had like a bunch of people try it on, and like you can't feel the bear can in the bag.
Wow.
Like at all. And then like so, and then also
Do you have this on the website? What's the name of the?
It's if you go to like the Instagram.
Okay.
Is this big enough for me to fit it?
See my cell phone.
Oh, that's in this one. No, that's in the other one.
I got it.
Does this fit a Z-light? Like if I were to stuff a Z-light down the side, if I were to like to store it there?
Ooh, you can. I've seen people do it on the
Stuff that
top.
in
I
there?
can do a Y strap. I do a Y strap on the crunchy. I've also done like I'll put a stretchy sleeve along the back panel on the inside for people to kind of just stick their like pad on the inside of it.
How much does this weigh?
That's probably like a pound, I would think. So this is the the bear can bag, and so it's got like the bear can sits on the top.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to think how you can kind of see.
So it's not necessarily sitting on top of other gear. It's sitting like in its own pocket.
It's in its own pocket, so you don't have to dig around the can.
Yeah.
I can literally unzip the brain and get to the lid. I don't have to take the can out of the bag. I just spin the lid off, go into the can. That whole lower section underneath the can is the rest of the bag, and then the quilt is like the padding for it all.
How many liters is this one?
Is there any sort of frame with that pack?
On this one, no.
No.
This is just, I didn't even make a pattern for it.
Yeah.
I was surprised when like I started showing people and they're just like, I want one.
Yeah.
I was like, really? There's only like 300 miles that you could possibly need this for.
Oh, these front zippers aren't interior access. That's an actual different pocket.
No, I've made them like, some people have had odd requests. Like they wanted a pleated front pocket that went all the way down. So I made it like to where there's like more volume that didn't take up like the internal volume of the bag.
Like I would think if this just went inside, then I could have my food bag up here. But if I wanted to get something out of my dry bag, I could reach my hand in and pull out like my pants.
And I could put another zipper like above that one, so you have both of those pockets, like the exterior and interior access.
What how many liters is this?
28.
So when someone wants a customized design, do they have to provide you the design, or can they just give you the
Sorta.
concepts?
They can, like somebody yesterday, like they were just like black and pink.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool, I can do that.
Yeah.
I was like, and so sometimes I have leeway, or some people just say green, or some people like we get specific, like
If I wanted a specific pattern, like a aspen tree, would I have to provide you the
you
graphic or?
Yeah, the image and stuff. Like Cal, Tate's friend, he gave me an image. I had it printed.
Yeah.
So that's a lot easier. I can do it myself too if you're like, I can't find the image, but I want.
And that's all the same price if someone said I wanted.
I mean, so if I have
tree?
to print, like, it's like $33, I think is what I spent.
Yeah.
On like a yard of that printed fabric. Like, obviously I got 8 of Amos's faces on that yard, but you know, like he got Amos bags for a long time.
Yeah.
But that's not like too bad. So it's like if I'm printing something, it might be like extra $35.
Yeah. Damn.
If I want to buy this specific backpack off of you, how much do they cost?
I sell that one for $300.
It looks like most of the packs on your site are $300.
Yeah.
Do you sell mostly D2C? Is it wholesale through other outfitters, brick and mortar? Like, what's your?
The bags I made, like actually last night I finished, or this morning I finished them, but that was for Summit Sports in Pagosa Springs. They're like our second brick and mortar.
Okay.
Big Willie's in Lone Pine.
Yeah.
Blair, he was our first guy. He's a big supporter of us.
That's
and,
cool.
He's a very small shop with a lot of big stuff going on. He's very knowledgeable, and like just like a great spot on the corridor, like on 395 there. And but yeah, we were trying to find some stores in Santa Fe and stuff, but it's been tough, like just keeping up with like just like the made to order stuff, or like the orders coming in on the website. We're trying to, like, every year I feel like we get like a little bit more prepared just with our store. Obviously, like this year I'm gonna have stock in our store. Like, it was barely invented in 23, like the vest style pack. Now I think I made 10 bags last year, like patterned like from scratch, like that I had never made before. So it was just like a lot of inventing. Now I feel like I'm still like inventing some things, but like A lot of the stuff's already like
You're customizing templates that you've done a lot.
yeah, so it's just like kind of repeating some of the things that I've already like come up with. But
Yeah.
yeah, like trying to get load lifters into a vest pack for the first time, and
Yeah.
like the crunchy and like the Brazos, I do like a foam yoke on the upper vest too.
Yeah.
But like all these bags too have like the little like typical like strap buttress and
Yeah.
sort of like ladder lock thing, so you can like tension it. Most running vests are just like stretchy stuff.
Yeah.
How tall are you?
5'7".
How do you do the sizing? Because that felt like it fit me, and I'm 5'1".
Torso length, so like the little bony part onto like the back of your neck, like down to like top of your hips or your iliac crest.
So it's not a small, medium, large. It's custom.
Yeah. So I mean, like I've got like some sizing on the website, but I typically and I'm working on a better system. Like I want to 3D model the bag and let people play with all the colors, so it's gonna help a lot. I mean, I've had like some really long emails back and forth with people like trying to like help them talk about the fabrics and things like that, and also like imagine colors. So once somebody can like change the colors themselves and kind of like 3D spin the bag, I think that'll be helpful for me and the customer and stuff. But basically, like you can like I just tell people buy something off the website and send me all this information. If you're getting a vest bag, I get like chest diameter. I've been taking like a measurement across like your belly button too, just so the bottom part of the vest makes sense as well, and then torso length.
Have you thought about doing a YouTube video with like a tutorial of doing all your measurements? Because one of those soft tape measures is not expensive.
No, yeah, like I need to do that. Also like for like Summit Sports, like I'm doing like a tutorial video. Good thing is I got all the camera gear and stuff.
Yeah, right.
Of like how to like use the pack, like because I do like a removable little like side compression strap as well, and then like putting this stuff on and just talking about fit and like I've had people like be like, oh, I didn't even realize you had those things like hidden on the inside to adjust it.
Those pockets blew my fucking. I like putting I don't like my foods touching.
Yeah.
And so all the pockets are very nice.
It's
all my
really
different
nice.
Things can go in different places.
I've like designated like one of these little side pockets for trash and put like snacks and.
No, most of my hiking nowadays is day hikes and like trail runs, and I've got one of the stereotypical ultimate direction vest packs, and like it's increased my love for the sport just because it's made everything. I don't have to ever stop and take the pack off unless I need to add a layer or something.
That's the goal. Is like kind of everything's like just right where you need it for the day, and I'm making a running vest. Like our friend Sierra is doing Western States, so I'm excited she'll have the first running vest.
Are you making all of these?
Yeah.
At what point do you hire someone and like you become your protege?
I mean, in my mind, I feel like it's got to be like 3 or 4 times bigger than it than what I can handle myself. But I need to handle that volume myself before I can afford to like hire somebody. It's scary because like what a crazy. I wonder what my parents think. I'm just like, what are you doing with your life with all of this stuff? But like, like me and Tumbleweed have gone through like some scary moments together, but they're all really exciting, and we love like what we're doing, and like it feels like it's working some days.
No, the packs are genuinely very cool. I think I'm gonna buy one myself. So
thank you.
Kudos to you.
And we just I take it like pretty seriously, the idea of having an employee, like that somebody would like spend time working and helping and stuff. That's a huge responsibility for me, for somebody to like kind of like stake at least like a part of their life on that. Like it's still like very scary to me. So hopefully we get there.
Well, when you're hiring, let me know. We'll help get the word out. We'll help you find the right person.
For sure. Thank you.
Sweet. Is there anything else we should know? Obviously you're going for the overall PCT FKT and the California FKT?
Yeah, so it was slippery slope with the Washington thing. Then I was still going back for Oregon. And I was like, why don't I finish out the section hike? And if I'm doing California, I might as well do 2,600 miles.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, it's like I'm excited. I'm trying to like get the overall. I'm trying to break Nick's like southbound time. I'm also trying to break Carl's California time. I might have different records by the time I get there for Oregon and Washington. Mine might have been erased by the time I get up there by somebody. But I'm just I feel like this is a journey, and it's FKTs are hard, but I feel like getting out of that comfort zone and stuff, I've just like grown a lot, like personally, and it just feels like a journey that I'm supposed to take. I've randomly met 3 of the previous California record holders walking around, and I've like taken that as like a sign of like
those odds are impossible.
If one of them was on the Great Basin.
Wow.
And I was just like, this is so weird.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. I like the trail is like, I think for me, bookended like with some really powerful memories. Like I haven't been back to SoCal since I started my first thru-hike, so I'm like very excited about just being back on the PCT in Southern California. And I haven't been to the northern terminus since I started my first FKT in Washington.
Well, best of luck.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Your backstory is crazy interesting. Your packs are very cool, and we had a blast here interviewing you. So
Me
thank you so
too.
much for being here. Where should people go to keep up with you? Plug obviously the company again, your social media, whatever else people should know.
Yeah, for backpacks, it's Exotic Pax, PAX.com. For social media, if you want to keep up with PCT this summer, it's my 3 first names on Instagram.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Jonathan Patrick Thomas. JONATHAN. On Exotic Packco, PACKCO. On Instagram for the packs. Tumble.on.outfitters for tumbleweed, or tumbleonoutfitters.com. And YouTube if you want to check out Oregon and Washington videos. It's The Trail is Where I Walk. No spaces on YouTube.
Actually, before I let you go, I forgot.
Performance question.
We have a sponsor question.
I wasn't going to let you go without it.
This is our peak performance question presented by Topo Athletic. Use our code TREKSPRING15 at topoathletic.com. What is your top performance enhancing or backpacking hack? We can broaden this to running if you'd like as well, but like, what is a tip that is not conventional wisdom that has allowed you to excel in the backcountry?
I don't know if it's like unconventional wisdom, but definitely like the gear's made a big difference. But I think for me personally, at least for the XL for FKTs, I really like my midnight start. Get some extra miles and trick your brain into thinking that it was just a normal day.
There you go. Love it. Well, this has been awesome. Jonathan, Nate, thank you so much for joining us here on Backpacker Radio.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
To the Trek propaganda portion of today's show. Should have looked at this before I hit the record button, but here we are. I'm going to do this as a news piece just to highlight yet again, we don't cover news pieces on this article. Yosemite campground closure will disrupt backpacking, or will disrupt backpackers, including JMT and PCT thru-hikers. Yosemite National Park has announced the closure of its primary backpackers camp located in Yosemite Valley, effective for the entire 2025 season. I'm going to stop reading because since publishing that article, they've reversed that. But there was enough public outcry, and apparently there were reasons why they were able to staff it. So just another piece of evidence as to why news, it gets very tricky on this podcast where we record things far in advance. But keep your head on a swivel out there. I guess the propaganda is to be sure to subscribe to the Trek's newsletter if you want the latest news with this stuff, because it changes very quickly.
I just have like a fun fact.
Yeah.
This isn't relevant to anything. I'm just killing time. But Camp 4 reminded me of Royal Robbins. Do you know the name?
The climber.
Big OG climber.
I know the brand more than the climber, but yeah.
His son owns Camp 4 Wine Bar in Modesto, which is a toast user.
Yeah. I remember you saying that you didn't meet him.
Yeah. His son was serving me wines when I was in territory last time, and I thought it was the coolest freaking thing. Like when I was doing my expense report, usually I'll expense one place at a time. I had like 3 Camp 4 receipts because every night I just kept going back because I was like, I can't believe you are who you say you are. And he gave me a business card. It was phenomenal. I'm going to go back next time.
Yeah.
But the fact that Royal Robbins' son is like doing a wine bar in the Central Valley that you could just go sit at and he will pour your wine, to me blows my mind.
It's a good life.
Yeah.
Good work if you can get it.
But like Royal Robbins is such like a figure you know, that you don't expect to be able to, like, it's like saying, like, I hung out with Alex Honnold's kid. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So I think I texted you numerous times, some on wine and some off wine, but I was thrilled. So if you're in the Central Valley of California, you should stop by Camp 4 Wine Bar.
Fun fact, I actually have a friend who's friends with Alex Honnold, like a good buddy who's close friends. Like he posted something on Instagram recently. It was like him and his arm around Alex Honnold.
So why haven't we gotten him on?
I wouldn't know how to ask an intelligent climbing question. I respect the sport. Like, I've seen a lot of the documentaries, but like I don't know anything about it. I couldn't have an intelligent conversation.
I could ask a couple, and we could also, like, he's probably so sick of talking about climbing. We could talk to him about other things.
Yeah, I guess we could. But then
like
why?
the study he did with USC where they found that part of his brain is smaller, which is why he doesn't have fear.
Okay.
Like thoughts on fear. I don't know, everything. I saw him at the climbing gym once.
Nice.
His wife held the door open for me, and I died.
Good.
So, yeah, I want him on.
Cool.
I've been pushing for this for years.
Yeah.
You're holding out on me.
Question of the day. This is all the rage on the internet right now.
Yeah. I've not seen it on the internet, but I have questions.
By the time this comes out, this will be yesterday's news.
My
but
phone's listening.
We do have to weigh in on it. Who wins in a fight? One gorilla versus 100 men.
Okay, I've got questions.
Yeah.
Because I need to know, adjust the mic. I need to know certain things about this. Sorry, I've got a lot of foam in me still. And I just moved around a bit, so I'm burping a lot.
Very foamy gal.
Are the men armed?
No weapons.
Not even like a knife?
No
nothing.
weapons. Not sticks.
Bare fist arms.
Yeah.
Are these trained men or are these people off the street?
So this is where it gets interesting because like that part, the origin question hadn't really defined that part of it. So that I think for me, that's where the nuance gets very important because if you've got 100 UFC fighters or like 100 Navy SEALs, I think I give the odds to 100 men. If you're doing like just 100 like random sample of dudes.
Like is this like what's the show with that guy that's got the big fat Steve Harvey? What's he do? The one where we've
Family
polled
Feud?
100 people.
Yeah, if it's the Family Feud random sample, no.
Well, here's my question: is regardless of how many people get close to the gorilla, what can any of them actually do with bare hands?
So this is why you need like a coordinated effort of like men's men, not just guys. Like I'm not gonna if I'm gonna be in the 100, I have to be number 99. Like I can't be in the front.
Okay, let's say we've got 100 men that are like we'll put them in between.
Yeah,
they're in between a trained man and some guy we pull off the street. I'm gonna sneeze.
So here's my thinking on this.
Wait, I'm not done.
If
you're going to give me the answer that you've long thought out in the internet. I've not seen this yet.
Well, so you're asking the specific question of like what
I'm saying
people could do.
Let's say we go in between and we have 100 in the middle men. So maybe 50 of them are top notch, 50 of them are lower notch.
Yeah.
I would imagine they would have to coordinate an effort where X amount are holding down an arm and a leg and an arm and a leg. And then you have to think about how many men does it take to hold down a gorilla's leg for how much strength a gorilla can leg. And then how many, let's say they each hold down an arm and a leg. We've got 15 guys on each. I would imagine you'd have to choke the gorilla out, right? Or could you?
I think suffocation is probably one of the likely
or just
routes.
Snap the neck.
I don't think they've got enough strength
to
make that happen.
But one man does not have enough strength to choke out a gorilla.
No.
So how many men have to combine, get around that neck, and is there enough neck space for that many men to get around?
I don't know if you've got like a Mike Tyson type that can be like throwing absolute haymakers like directly at the jugular. Eventually, like I would think the larynx would have to go, but
and they can't pick up like a rock. They're
no
unarmed.
weapons. Yeah, that's a very key thing here because that's the thing that has made humans the apex predators.
Right,
we're
the
smart.
use of tools.
Yeah.
But my thought process is just that it's not about the quantity of men. It's about the fact that I don't think there's enough space on a gorilla leg for enough people that would need to hold it down because of how strong they are.
Yeah, so I'd have to look up like the amount of force that a gorilla's arm could exert, but I would imagine that if you got 6 200-pound guys, like, can it lift 1,200 pounds with one arm?
Right. So 1,300 to 2,700 pounds. So
with one arm or two arms?
With one slam of its arm, it is between 1,300 to 2,700 pounds.
So that's the amount of force that it can exert at the apex of the punch. But like, if the arm is pinned back, is it that strong? So like, when you're doing a bench press, for instance, like, you're not at your strongest when you're at the deepest part of the lift. Like, that's at the weakest point. So if whatever stat that's referencing is not the amount of force that it can exert with one arm punch, if its arm is all the way back.
Gorilla strength is estimated to be about 10 times their body weight. Fully grown silverbacks are in actuality stronger than 20 adult humans combined. A silverback gorilla can lift 4,000 pounds on a bench press. Research shows that a gorilla can lift up to 27 times their full body weight. Yeah. And they're on average, where did it say about their weight? I've got to find their weight. All gorillas can tear down banana trees without trying too hard. They've escaped from cages by bending the iron bars, and they have a bite force of around 1,300 pounds per square inch.
Well, so this is why I think you only have a shot if you've got like absolute trained killers who like that have lost. You're talking about Alex Honnold not having the fear part of their brain. That's why you need Navy SEALs, because if you grab random ass dudes, the first person that gets their skull crushed in by a gorilla, the rest of, or at least the majority of the group, is fucking scattering at that point. No, you've broken their morale.
Right. You need kamikaze guys where they're like, they're not looking to come out. Correct. They're looking to go in, and this is my mission, and my mission ends with me ending.
So even if like there was the physical force to accomplish the feat of defeating the gorilla, if you don't have the mindset of absolute killers, as soon as someone gets Game of Thrones, just eyes gouged in, it's game over for 80% of the people in the group, and then it's already done.
Let's say we've got a full coordinated attack. You've got to imagine some of them are getting bit. Like some of them are gonna go. So I think I
read that the bite force of a gorilla is like 40 times the strength of a lion.
Yeah, I was just reading that. So we got to imagine some of these guys just get taken out from the gorilla initially having the leg up.
Even with the most trained killers in the world, 20 of them are dying, or at least are like in a hospital.
So we're not dealing with a solid 100. We're dealing with what makes it past the first wave, which is, let's say, 80.
Yep.
So then you're putting 20 on each limb, and then who's left to choke, right? So then you're saying, okay, we don't have 20 for each limb to hold it down.
And here's what also gets difficult is apparently their skin is like supernaturally thick.
You can't just, like, these guys aren't punching it's not doing anything.
You're not puncturing their skin with anything innate on a human body.
That's what I'm saying. You've got to pin it down.
Yeah, and their bones are like steel, so you're not going to be able to break any of its bones to get it to be able to stop moving.
No, you have to pin down each 4 limbs, is my thought, and then you have to choke once it's pinned down, because you're not getting in choky position without it pinned down.
Yeah.
So how many men can you sacrifice to a limb?
I'm also curious about its endurance, because that's one area where humans have also excelled. Maybe eventually, after it's killed the first 30 people, it starts to lose some energy, and some of the guys are able to like punch its eyes. I mean, we're getting kind of gruesome here, but if we're going to go through the thought experiment, we have to go into it.
Right. Gorillas on average are 400 pounds. And their muscle mass density is almost 4 times higher.
Yeah. Have you seen like just like a chimp shaved?
I mean, like, gorillas are... I've watched Planet of the Apes.
Literally Google shaved chimp. It's terrifying.
I mean, I'm thinking we're going against the silverback. The other thing... Okay, let's say... Here's where I'm really stuck on this.
This is a chimp. This is a much smaller ape.
The thing is freaking jacked. Yeah. But now look up silverback. But... Let's say we lose 20 in the initial rush.
Yeah.
We have a coordinated effort.
Jesus Christ, the thing looks like a statue.
We have a coordinated effort where, let's say, we have 15 to sacrifice. We have 15 to sacrifice on each limb. That's another 60 people. We've got 20 left for the kill. All 60 of those guys that are going to break into 15 for each limb need to know which limb they're going for. They have to pre-coordinate it. I'm left arm. I'm right arm. right? And they have to have their reserves that fill in when they get fucked.
So citing this stat that they can bench press 4,000, let's just give it the benefit of the doubt and say that each arm is 2,000. Again, the strength is not at the highest at its full range of motion.
And you're in push down. Like, let's say you're a person and you're holding down. Like, what are those muscles how much can you hold down with?
Well, you're probably using your full body weight, like you're wrapping on it, like you're climbing it.
Where? Because the more you wrap, think about this. The more you wrap, the more surface area you take up, the less others can help.
So 2,000 is, we're going to say 200-pound guys. We'll probably need bigger dudes than that.
10.
We're going to get we'll need some NFL players in the mix here.
We need 15 people for each limb.
Yeah, there's not enough space for that.
Right. So that's what I'm saying is, so how do they need to coordinate? I'm upper arm, you're lower arm, or we're dogpiling and I'm on top of you and you're on top of me.
Yeah.
And this all has to be very fast, because if you don't think that out, then we lose another 20 to the second wave.
Yeah. I
just don't see a way humans win.
I just have so much faith in the Navy SEALs.
Are you really thinking human would win?
100? 100's a lot. 100's an insane
We are
amount.
talking this through. We just got down to 80.
Yeah, but again, I think after it kills 20 people, it's getting a little exhausted. I think somebody's able to punch its eye out, like literally blind this thing. It gets to the point where it can't see.
Yeah, but even if it can't see, it can feel you on it and still Hulk smash.
If we get to the point where the gorilla can't see you, I'm feeling pretty confident in that.
Not if they can't use weapons.
I mean, if somebody gets on its back while 40 other people are swarming his body, it's like too many distractions. Somebody's going in to gouge an eye, and I think we're starting to get a chink in the armor here.
I think you're not thinking it through. I think if you go back to my thought process where we were just step-by-stepping it.
But I'm saying, if 40 people surround it all at once, it's
not going
to be able to fling all 40 people. So
but what
eventually
are they doing?
Someone's getting to the eyeball, and then you're going to be able to rip. You're going to do something crazy out there.
You're going to take out an eye.
Yeah.
There's plenty of gorillas out there without an eye.
If you can get 2 eyes, we're in business.
And then what?
It's blind.
And then what?
And
think through this. What is your start to finish plan? You are lead general, Zach, head of whatever.
Yeah.
And you've got 100 dudes, and you're telling them the plan. You're standing there with your 100 dudes huddled up, gorillas over there. What is the strategy, minute by minute?
I mean, if you get some of these guys that can do reverse spin kicks really hard, like a bag, eventually you'll get to the point where you're going to make some damage to it. I don't know. I think it's possible.
Quote, I'm going with the 100 dudes if they from Chicago. Former NBA player Quentin Richardson said, suggesting 25 men could restrain each of the gorilla's limbs. He's giving no room for any pre-deaths and no room for what then? 25 men on each limbs, then what? There's no one left.
Even best case scenario, we're losing 20 to 30 guys pretty quickly, probably.
70 won't be able to do it.
I'm going with the dudes. I trust the bros.
Can you use your computer to see if any gorilla experts have weighed in? You know who I've got to ask? I wonder if I still have her number. My friend Lauren, who I went to high school with, she worked at the Bronx Zoo with gorillas for years.
Yeah.
Let me message her on Instagram. I wonder if she's awake.
All I'm saying is if we do run this experiment, I'm going to go ahead and say that I would like an exception to not be included in it.
Oh, well, thank God it's 100 men, because I'm not helping with anything.
Yeah, again, if we're just taking the 100 bros that bang that porn star, no, it has to be trained killers.
Weird question. I haven't messaged her in a couple of years. Weird question. We're talking about the 100 men v. 1 gorilla internet thing on the podcast. Parentheses, currently recording. Wondering what you as a gorilla expert think. I'm team gorilla, and my delusional co-host seems to think humans stand a chance. Miss you, XOXO. I hope she's awake.
If we had some sort of weapon, even like...
We're not talking weapons.
I know.
That's
just saying.
That's an absolute game changer.
Yeah.
Even if we had a rock.
Yeah.
It's a rock. Yeah, no, that would be a very different playing field. But if we just have our bare hands, we're not winning this.
A kick is pretty powerful. You get 100 guys that know how to
To
throw a kick.
whomst, not to a gorilla.
You get enough kicks in there, eventually you're going to start to do some damage.
Again, surface area. Is the initial kicker stepping back while the second kicker steps in? Like, is this like back in the day where the bayonet gun fires and then they duck down while the next one goes and they reload?
I mean, if there's 40 people coming in from one side, you get 30 taking turns to come in and land some lethal.
And how many accidental kicks wound one of our 100?
Oh no, we would coordinate. There would have to be
exactly. There'd have to be There'd have to be that coordination.
Yeah.
And if the gorilla moves, what happens to our lines?
Well,
she answered.
I'm sure she's probably been fielding this question.
Gorilla wins 30 times stronger than humans, but would still win. Can I call you?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I call you? I'll have her give her history with gorillas. I swear to you that she is a gorilla expert. She's the kid in school that like went to school for zoology, the thing that everyone says they want to do in second grade, but no one actually follows up on.
Yeah. Here's what ChatGPT says. If the 100 unarmed men were all trained UFC fighters, the scenario changes dramatically, but it's still not a clear-cut win without cost. Here's a detailed breakdown. The gorilla's physical advantage. A silverback gorilla can weigh 350 to 450 with a low center of gravity. Strength. Estimates put a gorilla's strength at 6 to 10x that of an adult male. Can easily break bones, throw people, and crush limbs. Durability. Thick muscle and bone density make it resilient to blunt force. Weapons. Its canine teeth, 2-inch fangs, claws, and extreme grip strength make it lethal in close combat. The fighter's advantage. Skill. UFC fighters are elite grappling, striking, coordination, and endurance. Conditioning, they can tolerate pain and are used to combat under pressure. Like if we got a bunch of Justin Trudeau's out there, that guy's scary.
Yeah, he is. I've been watching his stories. Okay, we're calling Lauren. She's at the local, which is a bar. But we'll get all her credentials. Hold, please.
How the fight might go, realistically, in waves. First 5 to 10 men engaged.
Hey.
I'm talking that you texted me that.
Yeah, random text, but I didn't know who else to reach out to. I'm holding you up to the microphone right now. Can you start off by telling everyone your experience with gorillas so they know you're a credible source?
Yeah, so I worked with gorillas for 10 years at the Bronx Zoo with Western lowland gorillas, and then I worked in the jungle where I saw wild ones.
Wild gorillas, Zach.
Yeah, it was fucking awesome. Sorry. It was really cool.
No, we curse all the time on this. That's fine.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so I'm saying there's absolutely no way. Zach thinks there is.
No, you 100% cannot fight a gorilla. It doesn't matter how many humans you have.
I'm thinking like 20 would die in the initial surge, and then there's no way that the other 80 could coordinate how to hold it down in order to do something.
Absolutely not. So they're 30 times stronger than a single human. So even if one were to try and take it down while distracting the others, it still would be able to turn around and get them. So
what do we know about its endurance,
though?
Well,
I was in Africa, I actually had there was a bunch of poachers that went after a gorilla, and he took down 6 of them, and the rest ran away.
What do we know about its endurance? Like if it had to fight, let's say 20 of these guys, and that took a few minutes of using all of its force. Like in a typical UFC fight, they go 5 rounds, and by the 5th round, most of these fighters are exhausted. Like when they're throwing a punch or a kick, and these guys are...
Gorillas do not get tired as fast as humans, so they can fight for they do short spurts, but they can fight for at least an hour before tiring out, whereas humans have to take a break.
And this is a studied thing that they have.
Yeah. So actually, it's in nature.org. There's a study that they do on it.
I would love to be a part of that study.
I'm super into this subject.
Okay. Well, thank you for weighing in.
Thanks. Have a drink for me. I'll Venmo you for one. for your
Love you so
expertise.
much.
I love you
I'll talk to
too.
you soon.
Bye.
Bye, babe.
I bet you didn't expect that I would have a gorilla expert on speed dial.
I'm still not throwing in the towel.
Oh,
but
come on, she's worked with gorillas at the Bronx Zoo for 10 years. She's gone to Africa to work with
but
gorillas in the wild.
It's still theoretical. No one's ever run the experiment, and until we know, we don't know.
You're talking. You think you're smarter than someone.
I'm not saying I'm smarter than her. I'm just saying like that's.
You're right and she's wrong.
No, it's theoretical. No one's ever done that. So until you do it, you don't know.
I'm on Lauren's side. I'm sending her a Venmo for a beer right now.
Yeah.
No, I completely disagree with you, especially if she disagrees with you.
Yeah. Good. Okay, well, I win. The triple crown of items you brilliantly stash in many strategic locations. This one was spurred the other day because I forgot to pack sunscreen when I was going on a hike in my pack, and then I realized I had it in the center console of my car. So first pick for me is sunscreen. That's something that I put in. I usually have it in my backpack. I have it in both of our vehicles. I've got some here in the office. I put it all over the place because I don't like to spend more than like 20 minutes outside without like a SPF 30 minimum.
This is one of those instances where we have once again read the question differently.
Okay. How did you interpret this?
I thought it was things that you strategically stash.
Yeah, that's exactly what I just described.
Well, like I'll stash a chapstick in every purse, but that's not how I interpreted the question. I interpreted the question as in sometimes, and this mainly happened in college, but sometimes it'll still happen. If drunk Juliana came home from the bar, she was a master at like wanting things like my ID. I would want to make sure I didn't lose it. So I would stash it somewhere that I considered incredibly safe, that it wouldn't get tampered with. And then sober Juliana would wake up and not know where it was, and it would be a game of hide and seek where I'd then have to find where drunk Juliana hid it.
But that's not many. That's one item in one location.
Yeah, I've got 3.
You have 3 IDs?
No, I have 3 different things that I stash.
Yeah.
Like I stash the ID in strategic places. That's one thing that I stash.
Okay. I mean, we could go in any direction you want. But
I can pivot off the top of my head.
But the question is specifically an item that you stash in many locations.
Yeah, I didn't. Again, that's what I'm saying. Is I read that you stash and I got excited because I was like, oh, I know exactly what I have.
I blacked out at that point.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, what's more interesting, that story or a chapstick?
I think chapstick is a good answer.
Yeah, my lips aren't always chapped, and some chapstick's different than others because some has like a menthol-y thing and it hurts, and then some is like a creamy, buttery, like feels good. So sometimes even the stuff I've stashed in different places isn't the right stuff. Mm-hmm. But definitely chapstick if I'm doing it the right way. I can think on the spot here. Okay. Other one, inhalers. I've got inhalers everywhere I might need them. All it takes is your first, second, and third time to the emergency room because you didn't have an inhaler on hand and you found out the hard way what it feels like to not breathe, to then start stashing inhalers everywhere. And I've got like a scarcity mindset with it too, where like I hoard them. And if I get down to a low number of puffs, I will just flat out stop using them as prescribed because I fear the day I will not have a puff of an inhaler left. My brain says that like maybe a doctor will stop prescribing them and then I won't have access to them and then I will go back to the ER. It's like a big fear in my head. So there's not a day that you will find me without an inhaler within arm's reach.
Yeah, that's a great one. I was a little concerned when we took chapstick because my list isn't too long, and that was definitely on my list. Because having chapped lips, and much like sunscreen, and then being outside is just like you're signing up for a very bad week. When I was in Austin the entire time, I was licking my lips like a fucking crazy person.
And that makes them drier.
I know, but like you can't. It's an involuntary reaction. But
that's why you need the stash.
Yeah, you definitely have to have chapstick on you at all times. My next one is sunglasses.
Okay.
It stinks to be, especially like driving a long ways and not having sunglasses and just be looking directly into the sun. The squint factor, especially for a ginger, I'm pretty sure we squint harder. Not having sunglasses, all of mine are apparently sun related, but yeah, sunglasses are. I've got sunglasses in both vehicles. I've got them again here in the office. The timing of that couldn't have been more poetic in the middle of the Triple Crown of things you just stash in all locations. We just ran out of battery juice on a recorder. I should emphasize, we usually charge this directly from a power source.
Yeah.
I think something in here got wet or something's broken because we can no longer do that without a crazy noise coming from it. So we'll give an honorable mention to batteries, specifically AA batteries, because I had 4 left, which is exactly what we need. Sunglasses, I think was what I was saying. So yeah, sunglasses is a good one to have in many locations.
Was that your second or your first?
That was my second. And for my last one, I'm going to go with snacks. And this is good for me because if I'm going out on a long hike, it stinks to not have something with calories in it. I feel like that will sustain me. Doesn't matter what it is, just something with some calories will definitely be able to sustain me. But also with kids. Many days I'm picking up Leo from school, and I know as soon as he's getting into the car, he's saying that he's hungry. And if I'm not able to scratch that itch quickly, it's going to be a lot of complaining. It doesn't matter if I say, like, we're 5 minutes from the house, buddy, we can eat soon. No, it's kid problems are immediate problems.
Can you move that here? Plug for the YouTube. We've got a obstruction of our camera due to our frantic battery search. But we let the YouTube run throughout it, so maybe that'll all make it on. Yeah. Who knows? Okay,
So
yeah, snacks. My last one I'm going with is tissues.
That was next on my list.
Because I am a very runny-nosed gal. I have been for life. I mean, how much do I want to incriminate myself? My best friend used to, like, have a name for, like, the nook, like the trove next to my bed where, like, the tissues would end up because I would just, like, in the night blow my nose and throw them. And then once in a while you got to pull it back and clean them all out. It's disgusting. But I always have a tissue on hand. Always.
Yeah.
And if I don't, like, you'll start to catch me tweaking. I'll start to tweak out because I'll be like, I need one. Where is it? I don't know. Like, what happens if I sneeze? What do I do? Always.
Yeah.
I need tissues.
Yeah. I'll use my shirt for boogers and stuff like that. But
same.
Yeah, that's not fun.
When we were at the venue doing our food tasting last weekend, again, different climate. So I was in New York spring, which is also setting me off because now I'm back in Denver spring. I've been traveling everywhere. I've been getting all the different spring pollens. And I kept, like, I got some tissues and I didn't have any pockets because I was wearing my cute bridal outfit. So I had my mom hold the tissues, and then every time I needed one, I'd go up to her and ask for one. And then every time I had this tissue and I didn't know where to put it because we were walking around and, like, taking pictures, I just kept putting them in Garrett's back pocket. He was like, can you please stop putting dirty tissues in my back pocket? But I couldn't. I had nowhere else. So, tissue queen.
Yeah, if we ever run out of tissues here, you've got Jess to thank for that because she's...
We don't have a box. I actually brought...
The box is on her desk.
Well, when I went downstairs to use the bathroom because they were cleaning the upstairs one, I grabbed a whole handful because we didn't have any.
Yep. Tangential to yours as an honorable mention. I'm going napkins. If you get food on the go, so this is not for blowing your nose, but, like, oftentimes, like, I'm getting a breakfast burrito, a little bit of sauce drips out, like, not having something to clean your hands is always like, I'm wiping out on my sock. You're putting it somewhere that it shouldn't be.
Now I'm wondering, okay, so this is also just an honorable mention. When I went to Florida, we went to have breakfast. We had breakfast at the Ritz, and they had all the little condiment containers that were personal sized, and they had those tiny little Tabascos that I thought were so cute. I must have taken like 20 of them.
Yeah, obviously.
And now I'm trying to remember where I stashed them because I haven't seen them since. And in a pocket of a coat somewhere, I've just got to remember what coat.
You're going to end up throwing that in the wash. You're going to get Tabasco everywhere.
I've got so many mini Tabascos. Yeah. And the whole point of me taking so many was so that I could put one in each purse.
Yeah.
In case anything ever needed more flavor.
Emergency Basco.
Wow, I haven't thought about those since March. I wonder where they are.
My last 2 honorable mentions. I feel like this one's definitely less necessary in the era of iPhones, but money. It's nice to have cash on you for certain stuff. But now, like, I can pay with a credit card. Like, I've done this many times where I'll be out on a run and, like, shit, I ran out of water. I can just dip into a gas station and buy water with my phone or the watch.
Yeah, I do have the middle console of my car, Don't Rob Me, always has several ones in it. It's never over $10, so not worth robbing. But I have had numerous situations, like multiple times, where I forgot that I was on empty and then I was somewhere and I didn't bring my wallet. But now the gas pumps are starting to have tap to pay.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is solving that.
No.
But I still, you can go check my car. I've got at least $5 in singles.
Having your phone and watch be like universal payment has definitely made life less stressful for sure. My last honorable mention is a knife.
How many knives do you have?
I've got knives in both vehicles. Got one in the office here and then just a bunch in the house. But self-defense, but also like you never know when you need to cut something for whatever reason. But yeah, knife's a good one.
Interesting. I have one knife. I got it for the PCT and it's still my knife. And I like feel very strongly about this one knife. So I would feel dirty putting other knives in other places. But I could say the same about maybe tape or scissors. I like to have scissors accessible and I like to have tape accessible. Tweezers. I love putting tweezers places because you never know when you've got a little pesky piece of skin nail that you need to pull off or a gray hair that you need to pull out, and you need those tweezers to be able to yank it off. I've got tweezers on my desk. I've got tweezers next to my bed. I've got tweezers in my makeup bag, my plane bag. I usually have them in my car, but I got my car cleaned and I don't know where the guy put them. I have a lot of tweezers.
Yeah, good.
So that's me.
Mailbag.
Note from Rachel. This is a trimmed version of this email, saving some of the trail questions for a Q&A episode. So if you are the emailer, that is why this is trimmed. This is a very long email. Apologies. Hopefully there are some usable gems in it. I've been listening to the podcast for about 3 years now. Love it. I decided to write down my random thoughts while listening last year, 2024. Seriously, very random. This email is a barely organized and cleaned up version of those notes. Feel free to use this as you wish. Mailbag, Patreon, Q&A, whatever. Just without my name/email, as in please leave no trace of me. Attribution is not wanted or needed. I'm way behind. It is winter, so it'll be months away for me if you mention any of this stuff. As of this, Skirka 5.0 is my next episode. Podcast stuff. I can make my ears hum. I thought this was weird and unique to me, but thanks to BPR, I know it's not. I'm pretty sure BPR is the first and only place I've heard of people talking about this, and now I know I'm not making this up. True, I can hum too. I would call myself a dry food person. Up until my college days, I, hated putting food on food. Dipping ketchup in fries? Nope. Syrup on pancakes? Bare minimum. Dipping sauce? What the fuck? If the sauce doesn't come with it already, I'm not going to add it. Up into my 30s, I was good with absolutely no condiments. I'm better now and enjoy some good condiments on food, but definitely a dry food guy by default. In my opinion, you shouldn't have to put food on food for it to be good. It should be good by itself. I liked it when the episodes were numbered, i.e. number 123, John Smith. Having them numbered helps me keep track of where I left off because Apple Podcasts sometimes freaks out and doesn't keep track of things right, but I can sort of remember the last number. That's a good note. You did taste test meals. I liked them, but I thought you did it wrong. You need to have a taste competition between the brands for the same meal. For example, you cooked pad thai versions of different brands. Then you do a side-by-side of which is the best. Everyone in the studio gets a scoop and then talk about and ranks which brand is best. I like that. Chaunce, I love the Mile by Mile audio project. I really hope it is published. While it's for AT hikers, I can imagine that anyone doing a journey and likes history will very much enjoy it. For me, listening to Beyond the 100th Meridian, John Wesley Powell biography, while traveling in Utah was nearly magical. Mile by Mile would be so much more than that. I'm still working on it. I just burnt myself out on the Civil War and had to take a little break. I'm somewhat local to BPR. I thought about attending the live events in Denver, but I'm just a day hiker, not a thru-hiker, only a sometimes backpacker, and as said before, I'm older. So I'm just thinking I'll be out of place. Is it cool if I'm mostly a solo older guy day hiker, or do I just end up perceived as the creepy old guy? Maybe just leave the seats available for the younger folks since space is limited? No, you would not be standing out at all.
Also, space is not limited.
Yeah, you'd be in very, very good company. I think this is a silly, self-doubt thought and not, an actual worry that you need to have. I would not fear that at all, and I would come to the next, even if it's just a meetup. I'm not just saying, come to the podcast, but come to a meetup if we do one. You'll find that we're all very friendly and accepting. Sometimes while on a hike, I go through my hiking resume in my head and what I would say in a BPR interview. I'm sure that sounds probably cringy to you, but to me, it helps bring out the why. Not cringy. And we have an abrupt ending there because I think Rachel trimmed some stuff for Q&As.
Yeah.
But I like that.
Very nice, thoughtful email.
Yeah.
Thank you to Anonymous.
Yeah.
And yeah, don't ever prefix your hiking status with just. There's no such thing as just a day hiker or just a whatever backpacker.
Yeah, and people that go to these meetups, like, they love talking hiking, and usually, like, whoever's at home is burnt out on hearing it. So to have someone who is curious and interested, and, you know, if you wanted to know anything about getting into longer stuff, you'd have so many people willing to talk your ear off about it. But you'll also find that not everyone that goes to these are super long distance people. We have people that come that are just day hikers, as you would say it, that prefer day hiking, that prefer car camping, that prefer all kinds of different outdoor stuff. It's just finding people who like to spend time outside, and that itself is fun. But you do not need any sort of requirement in terms of your hiking resume to attend. Please don't feel that way.
Yeah, just come hang out, drink a beer, say what's up.
Yeah.
Want to meet you.
And no one's like, who do you know here? You know, like, it's not like that.
Yeah. So thank you to Anonymous. 5-star review. Thank you to Jim Fossum. Best hiker podcast by far. I can't express enough how great this podcast is. I literally see rainbows and butterflies every time I listen/watch. When I started listening, I could only hike 5 miles a day, but after many episodes, I'm up to 200 miles a day just because of the great advice and info I've learned from Backpacker Radio. Zach and Chaunce have the best podcast voices that are smooth like butter and put me into a euphoric state each episode. Also, listening to the podcast has been scientifically proven to add 30 years to your life and drop your pack weight sub 10 pounds. Anyways, thanks for the great show. Oh, also, since I've listened to the podcast, I've won the lottery 6 times. So yeah, there's that. Congratulations to Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, sounds like a good candidate for the Patreon.
Sounds like he'd be friends with Tate.
Yeah. If you guys want to hear your review read on this podcast, head on over to Apple Podcasts, leave us any number of stars.
Just not 1, 2, 3, or 4.
And screenshot your review. Email us at thepodcast@thetrek.co, and we will send you a sticker. That's happening.
Is it you or is it Jess?
It's been me.
Really, still?
Yeah.
Wow.
If they happened at a volume that was so high, I would outsource it, but right now it's manageable. Thank you to today's title sponsor, Topo Athletic. These shoes are the shits. Very excited for the upcoming backpacking season because I'm going to test out a couple new models here, but the Pursuit 2s have been my go-to thus far. The Mega Grip outsoles on those things are extremely grippy, incredibly durable. They last a very long time, comparable to other brands where you're getting 250 miles or so. You're going to get upwards of 1,000 miles. So don't let the price point of the shoe dictate whether you should make the purchase, because you can get up to 4 times as many miles out of it.
Yeah, I feel like the little testimonials, like, even though we vary them each episode, sometimes it's hard because there's not much new to update on my shoes. I'm still using the same pair. They're still very comfortable. They're still running great. I don't have any issues. You know, like, sometimes it's just one of those things where it's like nothing's wrong, you know? And for it to be, when did I get these shoes? Last summer?
It was probably last September, August, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, end of last summer. I mean, I'm still cruising. I've got no complaints. There's nothing new to report, which is the no news is good news type thing. You know, I took them out the other day when I walked Harper. I've had them on little hikes I've done. There's nothing to report because nothing has changed with them. They're still running like day one. Yep.
And if I didn't nickel for every time we had a guest on where Topo is the title sponsor, and like, I use them, I fucking love them.
Yeah.
That's how you know when the people that we talk to who are the creme de la crop of backpackers are saying it. That's how you know.
Yeah.
And they were the number 1 cited brand in our AT thru-hiker survey in 2024, and I imagine it'll be even better in 2025.
Well, I think the best kind of gear is the kind of gear you don't need to think about. Like, I think the more you think about a certain piece of gear usually indicates the more that gear is giving you trouble. You know, like, when you have to think about something all the time, usually it's because there's something you have to think about, versus if you don't have to think about it at all, it's because there's not much to think about because it's just working well.
Yeah.
You know?
If you get your footwear locked and loaded, you're in a very good place because getting footwear that doesn't work for you can absolutely ruin your hike. So when you find something that works, you stick with it. You buy as many models or you buy as many pairs as you can because we've all been victim of when things change and then it gets worse.
Yeah, but make sure before you buy all of them that you know that your feet aren't going to change size on trail.
True. And use our code TREKSPRING15 for 15% off your next order. Mm-hmm. Thank you to our Truck North Scored winners on Patreon. That is Alex and Misty with Navigators Crafting, Alex Kindle, Andrew, Austin McDaniel, Brad and Blair from 13 Adventures, Brent Stenberg, Carl Hood, Christopher Marshburn, Coach from Marine Outdoors, Derek Cook, Eric Casper,
Your friendly ghost.
Eric Hoffman, Ethan Harwell Dunn, Jillian Daniels, Greg Alsop,
Fables.
Greg Knight, Greg Martin, Greg McDaniel, Griffin Hay, Would You Bring Me a Beer, Haley Buckingham,
Dallas,
Jason the Snail, Snailer,
Barely
Patrick
Noir.
Ciancialo, Rebecca Brave, Sawyer Products, Spam, Timothy Hahn,
Solo,
and Tracy Trigger. Thank you to our guy, Paulie from Old Man Murph's Coffee Roasters. Go to ommcr.com to get yourself some delicious beans. Thank you to Four Noses for supplying the beer for today's episode.
I drank one in under 30 seconds.
As did I. I drank two.
It's not as exciting for you.
That's true. Subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on YouTube.
Hi, Internet.
You definitely got a very different experience with the YouTube version today, so that was fun. And that's it for this very long episode. Drop us a comment in the Instagram of this one. What's the code word for this one?
Gorilla.
Yeah. Give us your take on the one gorilla.
Yeah, tell us who you think would win.
Yeah.
And why I'm right.
If you're still listening 4 hours into this or wherever we are at this point, it's been a long one. Let us know because we very much appreciate everyone who sticks it out for the long episodes. That is it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening and happy hiking.
Bye.